Hello, everyone, and welcome to the stream. It's been a little while since we did a stream, a little over a month. We have this wonderful crew of people here joining us. I'll let everyone introduce themselves, starting with Bob. Bob, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm sicker than a dog, but Bob from BK Photo Page on all socials.
Darius,
Darius Jones at Coaster Jones.
Ken,
Ken, also known as Uncle Ken.
and Tom.
And Tom's_Treks99.
So, like I said, it's been a little while since we've done a stream, and I'm noticing on my left monitor right away that there seems to have been an update to YouTube. I don't really know how this works, but apparently there's like a leaderboard. So have at it in the chat if you want to try to get to the top of the leaderboard. From my understanding, it's based on chat participation and super chats. So again, I don't know how it works, but have at it. We have a lot to discuss in this stream, and if you guys haven't been on a stream before, we're going to have our set topics that we're going to discuss first, and then get into the Q&A portion of the stream. So without further ado, I'm going to get started right away with the first topic of discussion, and that is Epic Universe for myself and Darius. So for those of you unaware, myself, my dad, Darius, and Sammy for a little bit as well, all visited Epic Universe on May 13th and 14th during the preview period. Obviously, the park is officially open. We got to go there before the park opened. Darius, what did we think of it?
Listen, the park is excellent. I mean, I don't know how it's going with people there during the busy weeks, but during the preview, we had an exceptional time. I think the Super Mario Land was definitely the highlight of the visit, but you know, that place is not short of some great thrills. Colin, what was your favorite area?
My favorite area was Nintendo. There's no question about that. Nintendo was unbelievable. Favorite ride, though, it's easily Stardust Racers. There's not even a competition there. Stardust is absolutely mind-blowing. Also, I'm hearing that people are having issues hearing me. I guess it's my internet. Sorry about that. But yeah, Stardust Racers is an absolutely incredible ride, especially at night. That thing at night blows every other coaster out of the water in terms of nighttime experiences that I've ever seen.
Yeah, my favorite element on that ride is definitely the dueling celestial spin. It felt like I was in a video game, right? You're rotating, you know, in a sequence with another train rotating with you. We rode both sides, got a different experience on each side. That coaster is, you know, and you'll hear the word epic, aptly named park. That coaster is by far one of the most epic coasters I've been on.
That is for sure. And speaking of epic, we have the first super chat of the night. Thank you, Christian, for the super chat. I recently went to Parque Warner, and in my opinion, Gotham City Escape over Velocicoaster. I mean, obviously I've never been there, so I don't know, but Velocicoaster is a pretty high bar to beat. And to know that Intamin may have made something better than Velocicoaster, that's pretty exciting. So thank you for sharing that with us. But like we were saying about Epic Universe, it's not without its flaws, that's for sure. I think a ride that I went in expecting a lot more out of and didn't really get everything I wanted out of it was Monsters Unchained. There will be a second vlog coming from Epic Universe at some point in the near future, but I just felt like Monsters wasn't what it should have been. I felt that it wasn't as immersive as I really wanted it to be. Forbidden Journey, you go on that ride, and obviously they're both Kuka arm attractions where you have the kind of walls blocking your peripheral vision. You go around, and Forbidden Journey uses this really well because you do not see anything that you're not supposed to see. On Monsters, you see way more than you're supposed to see, and I think that really goes to the ride's detriment. Even in areas where it's, you know, you're put directly in the action, you can see a black curtain or an unthemed wall, and I think that really took me out of the experience there. Everything else, though, I think was really well done. I didn't have an issue with any of the other attractions, at least compared to what I was expecting out of them. But Monsters, I'm hoping ever since we went, they've done some touching up to it, because I know, Darius, you had some comments about it as well.
Yeah, I think you called out a lot of things, and I'll bring it up a level for a second. And one of the things that hits you when you go to Epic, and it hits you more than Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios, is kind of this evolution of a true thematic park. The scale in which they're doing things really makes it easy for Colin, to kind of call out the things that they're not doing well. And it seems like nitpicking, but like you're spending billions of dollars to build a park, right? Like they're spending more to open that park, to put it in perspective, than Six Flags will spend for the next 5 years across all of their parks, right? And so when you put that in perspective, there's a lot of things that they do have to improve. In one case on Monsters, we like flipped over and saw an exit, right? And in talking to someone, that's just a bad movement on the ride, and they're going to fix it. But for that to be previews, and I think we were there 7 days before the park was going to open, and for us to kind of like rotate and see an exit sign, it just kind of goes to show that they have a couple of things that they need to get out of the way. But overall, that's an exceptional park.
100%. I think that as time goes on, they iron out the issues. The park is just going to get better and better. But for what it is, it's great, and I highly recommend you all go. I don't know if I'd go in the middle of the summer because it'll be really hot, really crowded, and probably unpleasant. So if you haven't gone already and you're not planning to go in the next couple of weeks, I'd say wait till the fall. Give it some time to cool down a little bit. But that's about all I have to say about Epic that hasn't already been said, because obviously it's been a little oversaturated with coverage of Epic Universe. But something that not too many people have gotten to experience yet is Wrath of Rakshasa, which Bob and I both experienced, was it a week ago? A little over a week ago. So, Bob, what did we think? And let's base it more so off of our front row ride.
Yeah. So, yes, because you were in the back the first time. I was in the second row, and the first time I got off, and I was very, very disappointed at first. Middle row there was just no forces, nothing really happening. But then we rode it in the front for the POV ride, and it was a lot better. It was very smooth. There's the drop's really good, and then there's two really, really good elements that we both like. There's this one, like I don't even know what to call it, but there's the one like corkscrew element that you do that and then you spin down into the helix, which was cool. And then there's that other just kind of barrel rolling version near the end before that other helix that are both really good. But that was the only time when we rode it in the front row is the only time I felt like actual, like, because we both grayed out hitting the Immelman, which we didn't expect to happen. And then it definitely ran faster. I mean, it was way later in the day too, because the dispatches and ride times were kind of a snafu. But when we rode it, it was a little bit warmer later on. But it's a good fit for the park, other than the fact that we talked about how that park is always slammed, and I don't understand how they didn't put a mid-course in with 3 trains, because it's just going to be an absurd line all the time. But in terms of like the theming was pretty cool. If they like actually run with the story, it'll be pretty cool. That area is really nice. It's a really good looking coaster in the right spot in the park, directly in the middle of the park. Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a good fit for that park. It's going to be a GP magnet like most dive coasters are, for sure. But for me, I'm not a dive coaster fan, but I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, I'm also not a fan of dive coasters. There's only a couple I actually like. Most of them I think are just okay. And Wrath is definitely, I'd say, in the upper half of them, like kind of teetering in the middle. I don't think it quite gets to the level of like Yukon Striker or not Valor, definitely not Valor even. Griffin. Oh, hold on. We have a super chat. We jump in on that. Thank you, Jackson, for the super chat. Yo, Tom, stop hogging all of the Kingda Ka tokens. Which tokens?
What tokens?
Is this you're talking about the penny press? They're still available. You just got to bring a penny and
I was going to say, that is the one time I've done that this whole season. I've barely been to Great Adventures, so there's definitely still plenty there. So bring 51 cents. I think that's the last thing in the park that'll accept cash. So bring the 51 cents, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. We have another super chat. Thank you, Jack, for the super chat. That's an interesting one.
Last is the one across from Joker. I don't know what first is, but I certainly know what last is. That bathroom always does not smell good.
I can rank them based off of like quality. I could do that. And actually, I think I did do that at one point for a April Fool's video. And I don't think it's changed. So the best one is still Metropolis Water and Power. The Movie Town bathrooms are up there. The Golden King, well, I guess those don't exist anymore, but those were up there. I like the ones in Granny's. They're just too small. The worst ones in the park, though, I don't know. What do you think, Tom? We've talked in quite depth about this.
The front bathroom.
The front bathroom. Tom, you're muted, by the way.
The one right at the entrance or the exit. Like that's the
that's
worst
not always
bathroom
very
ever.
pleasant.
It's not always pleasant, but if you catch it like at the beginning of the day, it's not bad. But you know, I'm gonna give an honorary mention for worst because it's not truly the worst, but the Yum Yum bathrooms are so small that like you barely have any room to move around in there. Like even if there's no one in there, it's just the way the doors open in and like the stalls are this wide, so you're basically in a box. But
Very true.
yeah, no, I've never been one for those lakefront bathrooms across from Joker. That one's probably my least favorite.
Yeah, I'm not
It all
huge on
depends
those.
on who was in there before you.
Very
Yep.
true.
Yep.
I'm telling you, that exit bathroom smells like animal husbandry. It's horrible.
It's a good way to
But
put it.
I think we've had more than enough discussion about bathrooms for the evening. So back to Wrath. This was also my first time ever at Six Flags Great America. And a lot of people have been asking me, oh, did you not go to the rest of the park? I did. Those videos are just, they're coming. They're done. I'll get
we had a
to that in
blast.
bit. It was a great time. I mean,
Yeah.
I absolutely
It was
loved
so much
getting
fun.
to see that park. Bob was a very nice tour guide because he's been going there for a while, much longer than I have, obviously. So I really enjoyed getting to see that park for the first time. But Wrath of Rakshasa, we didn't actually get to see it fully done because when we went, I was under the impression it opened 2 days from that day. They didn't announce the opening day until we were there. So I thought it opened on Memorial Day weekend, which obviously didn't. It just opened on this weekend. And they had a lot of work still left to do in the area. So it was kind of cool to see it like in transition with like stuff still being worked on. I'm also seeing that my Wi-Fi is going kapooey again, so sorry. But yeah, I really did enjoy the experience. It was, of course, I love going to these media days. It's a lot of fun. And this one is probably not going to be the last one. But if you guys were following the channel closely, you'll know that we had 3 media days on one day. And one of the other ones of that media day.
On the same day that Epic opened, right? As
Yeah,
well.
on the same day that Epic opened. Go
Yeah,
figure.
where was your representative for Epic?
We got that one done early. But we have our representative from Twizzler here in Ken. So Ken, how was Twizzler's Twisted Gravity?
My favorite flat ride is the Screaming Swing. So when I heard Hershey was getting one of these, I was so excited. And I must say, when I walked into the hollow and saw it for the first time, I did not expect it to be as big as it was. I mean, it just towers over the hollow. It's up on that platform and overlooks the hollow. It's breathtaking when you see it in person.
Yeah.
So obviously, one of the big marketing gimmicks of that ride is that there's 4 different flavors of Twizzler for each side of the gondola. Which flavor was the best, Ken?
My favorite was cherry because when you came back up over the hollow, you were looking straight down. And then when you came forward, there was this tree that looked like you were going to crash into. So those 2 aspects of that seating selection made it a better ride for me. I always like that Skyhawk because they had the trees right there. I always like facing the trees. So
yeah, I am very excited to get out there. It looks incredible. I mean, these are my favorite flat rides. So knowing that it's coming to one of my, well, it's not coming, it is at one of my favorite parks is really, really exciting. And it's probably the best setting out of all of them.
And the force is that thing pulls. It's insane. I mean, after a few rides, you feel it.
And from
I got to
heard from
ride
you,
it
Ken,
shortly after you guys. What I was like shocked about is that the side that's facing in the hollow, when you swing above the crowd, you're directly over the crowd.
Yeah.
Like you could potentially, vomit on the crowd, which was a little interesting that it's the only swing that I've seen like that, where when you come across, you're actually over everyone. Tom, it was a last minute trip. Sorry.
Yeah, I think Lake Compounce and Cedar Points kind of go over the path in the same way, but obviously not to the same extent as that one. But let me pause. We got another super chat. Thank you, Christian, for the super chat. I also went to Port Aventura, which was my first ever international park, and it was so good. Shambhala, Best Beat, I'm Hyper, and Red Forest is great. That is a high bucket list park right there. Not super easy to get over to, just because obviously it's overseas and everything. But that's really cool that you got to experience that. Shambhala looks awesome, so that's awesome. Darius, you haven't been there, right? I know you've done some overseas travel.
Yeah, that's a park that's on the list.
Okay. Well, we'll have to cross off the list at some point. But Ken, Darius, whoever else, any final
it's
thoughts?
It's a perfect placement for the ride. I mean, there's no other place it could go in the park that would be as superior. And there's also a new restaurant seating area up there that overlooks, so you can watch the ride while you're eating and overlook the whole hollow. It's really nice. So
I myself actually managed to get a ride on this on the strawberry gondola only, sadly, but it was a really good view, so definitely check it out if you're one for the screaming swings. No other one is built as close to any other rides like this one, so definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I'm hoping to make my trip out there again very soon to get on it for the first time because, like I said, Screaming Swings, they're my favorite flat ride, and this looks like the best one. So very excited for that. But on May 22nd, there were 3 media days that were covered by Hollywood Studios. Now, of course, the person who covered the third one is not here with us today, and that is Brian, but he did leave a message for me about what he wanted to share about Steel Curtain. So I'm going to read that off. Again, I was not there. This was Brian that was there. He said, Steel Curtain Media Day was a fun but interesting rainy day. Got my 5 rides when it wasn't raining. When I rode row 2, row 6, twice in the last row and the third row. So it was running slow at first, but warmed up and ran pretty smooth. It's not a crazy intense ride, but that made re-riding it really easy. There's a slight vibration, but nothing that really hurts. It says front is much smoother and back you feel it a little bit more, but it's a really fun ride that's got really good pacing. And the lift hill angle being 50 degrees is crazy because you really feel that. So the inversions are great. There's good length and flow to the layout. He likes the middle part where it kind of, pops out over the lake there with the stall, the airtime hill. So the area is really well themed. The food was good. There was a Steelers logo burned into the buns of the burgers that they gave them at Media Day. And you could definitely see the difference of the supports. He said it was about doubled in the supports just from what he could see. And it was huge. And people that rode it before and then rode it again after they did all the work to it said it's definitely improved from a smoothness standpoint. Brian did not actually get to check out the rest of the park. It was just Steel Curtain that was open that day, and he had never been there, so he can't really compare it to anything else. But he said it's definitely a top 50 coaster for him, and he hopes to get out there again to check out the rest of the park.
And so he just might. He just might.
Steel Curtain, I mean, I saw it when footers were being poured. That's the last time I was at Kennywood. But I definitely do want to get out there at some point this summer and give it a ride because it looks really good. Another thing that Bob got to do is one of the most well-known coaster enthusiast events that happens to fall on the same weekend as an even more well-known one that kind of makes it get overshadowed. That is Coasterstock at Kings Island. So Bob, tell us about Coasterstock.
So typically it doesn't coincide. Usually it's like the weekend before Memorial Day weekend, but last year they had the Ace event that weekend, so they didn't have Coasterstock, and then this year they revived it, and then they did it. I think they did it that weekend because they wanted to have ERT on their new water coaster, the racing water coaster, but we ended up getting rained out of that ERT on Friday. It was a great event. I had a great time like I always do. It was definitely different because it was Don Helbig's baby, and then obviously Don was gone from the park a couple years ago now, and then Chad was going to run it, and they let him go like 2 weeks ago, so Kyle came up from King's Dominion and helped Elizabeth run it. It was cool. It was very much the same stuff as usual, although there was a lot less. Like usually they had all kinds of like trivia games and all kinds of stuff going on during the lunches and things like that. They didn't do a lot of that this year and stuff like that. But in terms of just the event itself, it was a blast like usual. And the ERT is always great because like half the people are gone by then. Like we had like walk on like Orion like with Zen rides last night for like a half hour straight. So stuff like that. So yeah, it's an amazing event. If you could ever get there, it's definitely worth it if they keep having it. I don't know if it's going to keep going though after this.
I think this year's kind of going to be a potential last year for a lot of these events. Yep. I'm not saying that's confirmed. That's just an assumption based on what we're seeing happen across Six Flags, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Because obviously, there's a lot going on there, and trying to pack it all in one shot is not easy. So we're going to digest it in a little bit. But before we get to the doom and gloom, let's talk about other park visits because I know everyone has done some other things just from besides what I've mentioned. So who wants to start with their other park visits?
Ooh, me.
Here you go, Tom.
So Austin and I, you might know Austin from Derailed Coasters. About 2 weeks ago, he made his way out to me, and we both drove to Cedar Point for 1 day, and we drove there and back 6 hours each way in 1 day. So that was a great experience for both of us. Shout out to Austin for helping split the driving duties that day. But the primary goal was get on Top Thrill 2, and we wound up doing it. We needed Fast Lane, which we got. So we wound up using that. We got very back row, very front row. I can't remember which train we did what on, but those were our 2 rides. We got 1 ride each on Silver and Blue train. It was so good. We were both blown away by it. I know Austin was a little less hopeful for it being a good ride than I was. And we both eventually, by the end of the day, had to concede that it was better than Ka. So I know all the Great Adventure people will love us for saying that, but it is what it is. It was really fun. Steve was running without the trim brakes, so that moved it up a little in my rankings. At least I rode so many RMCs since, but I kind of knocked it down a few pegs. But it's back up after that trimless ride, and we also got to do Millennium Force, Maverick, even Iron Dragon. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, it was a good day, even with all the driving. But yeah, Top Thrill 2 was worth the hype, and I just hope they find a way to keep it open consistent because it was awesome. Super chat. TT2 boo. Oh, I see. Oh well, go ride it. Just ride it. I don't know.
I just realized I was muted. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to read it. I'm like, are you just going to let me take this one?
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. But yeah, they're not too happy about your stance on Top Thrill 2 there.
Well,
and I will say I get it because after what happened to Ka, believe me, I totally understand.
Hey, me too. I grew up 5 minutes down the road from Great Adventure, and I lived there from like when I was born until like 2-3 years ago. And like, I get it. It was heartbreaking to watch it go down. I watched them build Ka, but like objectively, Top Thrill 2 was better. And just go ride it. Just go ride it. It was that good.
Yeah, I mean, I know Bob and I and Ken probably all agree that Top Thrill 2 is an unbelievable ride. Yeah. But yeah, that was a really, really agreeable statement. I will say that. Anyone else have any other park visits they want to talk about?
Jenkinson's and Funplex.
Wow.
There you go. I'm actually going to talk about those in a minute, but not too much about the experience. But Ken, you want to detail the experience?
Actually, Jenkinson's, we got to ride. It was these trips were spinning coasters, lots of spinning coasters. And you know how I love spinning coasters. But Jenkinson's gave us entrance to the aquarium, which is quite amazing, and the funhouse. And there's a room in the funhouse that I was totally amazed at. It
was unique.
It'll tickle your funny bone.
Yes, that is one way.
Never done the funhouse. Go do the funhouse at Jenkinson's.
You know, I've never done that funhouse either. Come to think of it, so maybe I need a visit to Jenkinson's next time I'm around those parts.
And the aquarium is beautiful.
Oh, we love the aquarium.
And it's not just fish. There's monkeys upstairs.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there would be monkeys, but the monkeys wound up being like the most photogenic part of it all, which was pretty cool.
Tiny faces.
Very tiny.
And Funplex was actually quite fun. It lived up to its name. They had a drop tower, spinning drop tower that it just went on and on and on. And there's tons to do inside. If it's raining out, there's all kinds of rides inside. 4D shooting game. So go check it out. And don't miss Big Rusty.
No, don't miss Big Rusty.
Just notable. Obviously, sorry, Tom. I went to Hershey Park shooting during the Metallica concert.
Metallica, James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich and friends.
I was out there, and I just wanted to hop in, hop out. So I made the 90-minute drive to go there. But I will say, Wildcat that thing is still running really strong. I don't know if anyone's a Wildcats Revenge fan. I made a shirt. I still haven't given it to Colin, my little drawing, but I have a stick figure which represents Steve, and then I have Wildcat biting Steve. Because I honestly think Wildcat is a better ride than Steel Vengeance. I know that's not a popular opinion, but when you ride it enough, you'll appreciate just how back to back every element is. So that was a good visit. Obviously, got to get on Twisted Gravity, but the surprise visit of the year was Six Flags Over Texas, and it wasn't because of rides, even though a couple of things are going on that everyone's getting excited for. That park is in a turnaround. You know, Jeff Siebert is now in charge of that park. And so if you haven't been to Over Texas in a while, and you want to go there before the Giga drop gets there, I think you will appreciate how clean the park is, the new food options, as well as just kind of a general remake of that park, which I think is long overdue.
Yeah, and we'll be talking a little more about that Giga dive in just a little bit. But yeah, I think Over Texas, more so than a lot of the other Six Flags parks, looks like it has a pretty positive future. And also, I want to just interject something a little unrelated. I apologize for whatever issues may arise with my Wi-Fi connection throughout the stream. PSA, do not use Optimum. They're awful, and that is why this is happening. So I want to just put that out there. Sorry for any weird connection issues you might see. But unless anyone else has anything to add about other park visits, I do want to give you guys a pretty cool sneak peek into the future of Hollywood Studios. It's not as grand as I'm making it sound, but there's some pretty cool stuff in there. So without further ado, let's move into that. So obviously, if you guys follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll know there's a lot of park visits that have not had a vlog released for them yet. And that's not because there isn't a vlog. That's because there's too many vlogs. So what you see here are the 7 vlogs that are fully done, ready to go, and just not released yet. The reason they're not released yet is because I'm trying to stagger them so that I'm not just bombarding everyone with content. I don't want to just throw it all out there. Plus, if any of you behind the scenes also have a YouTube channel, you'd know that flooding the market doesn't always work very well. You got to stagger your stuff. So this is everything you can look forward to in the very near future. In the bottom left there, that is the Epic Day 2 vlog. The middle column there, the top one is my second Great America visit. The middle one is my first Great America visit. And you got the SeaWorld visit. Then on the right column, you got my Disney vlog, Jenkinson's vlog, and Funplex vlog. So all of those will come out in due time. I can't tell you the order because I really don't know yet. So we'll see what happens there. But those will all be coming out very soon. In addition to all of that, there is some merch stuff I want to share with you guys. So obviously we all know and love this design right here, the Long Live the King logo that I've seen a lot of you wear at the parks, which has been really, really cool to see. By the way, there is a sale, I think, yeah, a 20% sale until tomorrow. I think that's what they have it set at. So that is out there. But in the very near future, there will be some new editions of this dropping. And I'm not going to reveal them fully quite yet, but I'll give you guys a little taste of what those might look like. And here's your first look.
Wow.
And there's your second look. So if you look at this logo, look at those, you might be able to figure out what we're going for here. So that's going to be pretty cool when that drops. The first one to drop will be this one, and that'll be relatively soon. So keep an eye out for that. There will also be some other really, really exciting stuff that we can't share yet. And actually, almost nobody knows about this yet. So we'll give it time. But trust me when I say you will not want to miss what is coming next because it's going to be pretty cool. But with all that, that's the kind of future look I wanted to give you guys. Of course, you can expect more Great Adventure stuff, maybe more Dorney stuff, Hershey stuff. But that was just kind of the stuff that's been pending for now. It's all done. It just needs to release. And there's other stuff we can expect to see soon as well, which has a lot to do with this. Which new coaster is next to open? So before I give my guess, I want to hear from all of you guys. Out of all the new coasters opening in North America, which one do you think is next? Let's start with Bob.
Well, you said Quantum's delayed, right?
We will find out.
I'm going to say Siren's Curse opens in like 2 weeks.
Okay. Darius, you agree?
Yeah. I think that's
It's Sirens.
that's the one.
Tom, are
The
you in
last to
agreement?
open will be Circuit Breaker.
I think we all agree that Siren's Curse has to be the next one.
Yeah, I think just chronologically, Siren's Curse will make sense as the next one.
I mean, it was testing nonstop when I was there last Sunday. Like, I was there on Monday, and it was testing nonstop all day long.
I've also seen that they're starting work on the queue for Siren, as well as like the entrance and everything. So I'd say 2 weeks is a pretty safe bet. I think, let me take a look at my calendar.
It's before the
I
end of
would
the month.
say either Thursday the 12th or Thursday the 19th would probably be media day. And then the weekend attached to that date would probably then be when it opens, if I had to take a wild guess.
I'm gonna say that it's probably gonna be a Wednesday media day because that's what the last couple have been. That's what Top Thrill 2 was. That's what Steel Vengeance was. That's what Wild Mouse was. And then they did their media shoot Thursday morning, I believe. Their their video shoot stuff. And then they did the first rider nights when they do them were on Thursday night, I believe. And then Friday it opened, or Friday was the first rider, and Saturday it opened, something like that.
It could be the special ones to get their stuff having different dates compared to everything else. But speaking from how the Six Flags things have gone this year so far, everything has been a Thursday media day and a Tuesday commercial shoot. So I'm assuming the same for Siren, but you never know. Cedar Point could have something change for them.
Maybe we can actually go to a media day together when it's not 30 degrees outside and
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Both media days Bob and I have been to, besides Jersey Devil, have been brutally cold. I was shivering.
Wildcat Revenge was, and it was like 80
That's
that
true.
day.
I forgot about Wildcat.
That one was nice, but like we woke up at 4 a.m. that morning for Wrath of Rakshasa, and it was pouring.
Yep. And
we got over there, and Colin only had like a very thin shirt on, like long sleeve shirt on. He froze miserably.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Flash was pretty chilly.
Flash was chilly. Flash was very chilly.
Top Thrill 2 was the worst.
Yeah, 120 miles an hour freezing like that was not pleasant.
I thought they weren't going to open it that day.
Yeah, I was getting worried of that too. At least we know Top Thrill 2 can run in like sub-freezing temperatures. But besides Siren's Curse, I'm going to say that after Siren is hopefully going to be Quantum. Quantum, that's the only one actually I have seen in person that hasn't opened yet. And it looks like they're getting pretty close. They have been testing, from my understanding. And it's just a matter of time until I guess it's ready to go.
Oh, we talked about this the other day. Did that, because I was just looking on RCDB a little bit ago for something else. Did that coaster at Steel Pier open last week? Like it says it's on there?
Yes,
it did. Okay, good.
Jason actually just wrote it today.
Oh, cool.
And funnily enough, it does not spin. It's supposed to spin, but it doesn't spin yet. So yeah, if you guys are in Jersey looking for a new credit, the Steel Pier one in Atlantic City is now open. But yeah, I think it'll go Siren, Quantum, Alpine Fury. That is my guess. Although there is a wild card.
I think Alpine Fury may get flashed.
I have some opinions on that for sure. I don't see Cedar Fair doing that to one of their own coasters. I could see them doing that to a Six Flags coaster, but not a Cedar Fair coaster.
That's so ridiculous.
That's just the way I see it. I mean, that's not, that's just speaking from my
making me angry.
I mean, you never know. You never know. Hey, Quantum could open next year for all we know. We don't know what they're going to do. Let's hope it doesn't happen, but you never know. Yeah, my current guess is going to be Siren, Quantum, maybe Fire Runner before Alpine Fury. We'll see. They're almost done with track work, I believe, for Fire Runner. I don't really know what the status is with Alpine Fury. Hopefully it opens sooner than later. And I see people asking about Codaland. So Codaland, their coasters actually have an opening date on RCDB right now. Darius, that's October
25th, I think I saw in the chat.
Yeah, so that is real. That is the day of the F1 race, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to get it open before. Well, Birdie's telling me it's going to happen before. I don't know why that date is even there. To open a coaster on the day of the race would be interesting, but I think is also way too risky. So I think their official date is going to have to be at least a week before the races.
I also think that opening it on the day of the races would take away from the press of the attraction. I mean, obviously, it's not going to have much press now, anyways, because Siren is almost definitely going to open before it now. So, first tilt coaster in America, that's gone now. So, I mean, they don't have much going for it in the way of marketability, other than the fact that it's a tilt coaster and it's opening at the F1 track. So, we'll see what happens with that. And then, of course, there's Palindrome too, which we shouldn't forget about that. That's a thing. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know. That's an interesting one though. Now let's get into the really interesting stuff that I know you guys probably came for. Let's start with the Over Texas Giga Dive. So I actually really, really like what they're doing, even if I'm not a big fan of the ride itself, which, as I've voiced already, I don't like not gigas. I don't like dive coasters very much at all. I think they're very gimmicky. But what they're doing here is really cool. Now, this comes from the Texas Thrill Seekers Facebook page, or Facebook group rather, from Andrew Floyd. And they're showing off this really, really cool display they have at Six Flags Over Texas. So Jeffrey Siebert, for those of you unaware, and we'll talk about this in a little bit more, he has been bumped up now from the park president of Fiesta Texas to now the regional park manager for all of Texas. So that means he also oversees Six Flags Over Texas. And if you guys know Jeffrey, he loves his social media posts. He will post everything on there. He's posted a lot of pictures of the track. And we know Jeffrey loves his spectacles. And it looks like this is certainly going to be quite the spectacle. As we can see here, they have this display of a piece of the track for the Giga Coaster right here in front of Spain with a sign that says, "We're building excitement for 2026. Now, obviously, just about everyone knows what this is going to be. It's a Giga dive coaster, more than likely. But I really, really like what they're doing here, because this is something we would maybe see out of Cedar Fair. It's very rare they would just put a piece of track in the park like this and be like, yep, this is what's coming. So I really like this. I think this is really, really cool. We don't see this that often, so I try to appreciate stuff like this when we do get it. And I think this is a genius way to market it. What do you guys think? Are you guys excited for this coaster? You like the way they're building it up? What are we thinking?
The color scheme is great.
Yes.
I can't think of another coaster that has colors like this off the top of my head. So props to that. Originality. It looks good.
What do we think it's going to be named?
I bet it's something Spanishy.
There's a name
because like they took whatever their log flumes, like what El Aserradero or whatever, and things like that. But then again, I mean, isn't that section though where like New Texas Giant is as well though over there in that kind of area, or is that's
when it kind of mixes in the back there, with Titan and everything.
Yeah.
Spain, like what I see is like Spain proper, so to speak, was where El Diablo and La Vibora were. And that's pretty much where this is going. Where
the like extremely like racist Mexican sombrero casino ride is that like nobody ever called them out over.
Yes, that attraction. Now there's a name in Six Flags that happens to tie in quite well with what this ride will be and what area it will be in.
And they don't have to pay for the rights to use it because they already did that.
Six Flags loved reusing names. So I'm just going
to Gonzalez
thought in my mind that they might call this El Toro. I hope it doesn't happen.
Oh, God, no.
But I'm just going to put that thought in my mind so that if it does happen, there you go. If it does happen, I'm not upset or shocked by it. That's not me saying that's what it's going to be called, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, so it's either El Toro is probably in my. So I have top three. It's El Toro, Halcyon, or another Spanish bird of prey, which I cannot remember the name of, but I think it's going to be one of those three.
Let's hope it's not El Toro, but
Halcyon is the other one. And Halcyon would actually jive with the color scheme because Halcyon is an eagle and there's brown and white there, so could see something like that. He likes names like that, by the way, because he named the old Goliath Batman clone Chupacabra. So
true. Although this wasn't really Jeffrey's project because he kind of came in after it was done, essentially. He just gets to watch it get built. So it's really up to Richard and the team from Over Texas who used to be there which again we'll talk about momentarily. But yeah, this, like I said, I really, really like what they're doing here. I think this is awesome.
Hey, it wouldn't be the first time they changed their mind.
Yeah.
No, it would not be the first time they changed
They
it.
did not have a settled name, by the way.
For this?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
It's a rumor.
You never know. They could go El Toro. But I digress. That's enough talk about the Giga Dive. Let's talk about what's going on at Six Flags. So, how should I approach this? For those of you unaware, there have been some changes in terms of who is employed by Six Flags. What they did is they eliminated a couple positions. The biggest one that they eliminated is the park president position. So the way it worked with legacy Six Flags parks is the person at the top was the park president. So like for Great Adventure, that was John Winkler at one point, and most recently Brian Pachica. And at Cedar Fair Parks, they had, for most of the parks, it was the general manager and vice president, and that was the same person. So like at Dorney Park, for instance, Jess Naderman, she was the general manager and vice president of Dorney Park, right? So what they have done now is eliminated that position, the park president position / the other one for Cedar Fair. That is no longer a thing. There are now regional park managers who oversee their region of parks that basically do what a park president did or what a GM / VP did, just for a grouping of parks now. In addition to that, there is now an individual park manager for each park that does not have the same position as what a park president was. They're technically lower. They don't have the same amount of say. They're still the highest in command locally to the park, but they are not necessarily the ones making the decisions about the parks. So obviously, if you guys saw one of my more recent vlogs, Brian Pachica is no longer with Great Adventure, and that is the case at a lot of Six Flags parks. We've seen a lot of parks. Some of them have gone out with, announcing it. Others have made a more silent departure. I know at Kings Island recently, they just had like a whole big thing. You would know better than me, Bob. What was his name?
Chad.
No, Mike.
Mike Kuntz. Yeah. So
Yes.
Mike Kuntz retired as of today. Technically, yesterday was his last day. They did Mike Kuntz Day. They did. I don't know if you saw the drone
On the
show.
Eiffel
Thank
Tower.
you, Mike. No, the drone
Yep.
show. They said thank you, Mike, at the end of the drone show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was really cool. Mike Kuntz is a really, really good guy. But it makes you wonder, like, did they basically tell him you're out of a job? And he was like, well, screw this. I'm just going to retire. Then I'm not going to like deal with the whatever their severance package offers or whatever the crap that they were doing with everybody else's kind of thing. So, it's reading that Matt We Met thing was interesting about him saying basically like, I left the company because I saw this stuff coming down the pipeline. I wasn't going to like fire good people and do things that were against like my moral, judgment kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's a difficult situation, right? Because obviously a lot of us have deep attachments to a lot of these people, especially myself. There's many of the park presidents / GMs who were let go across the chain who I've made really good connections with. And I've seen what they've wanted to do with the parks. And quite frankly, it is very unfortunate that they are not going to get to go through with their visions. And we're going to see how this goes with the new organization I guess the hierarchy really. Because like I said, Jeffrey Siebert, right? He was the park president of Fiesta. Now he is the regional park manager for all of Texas. So that means that all of the attention that he put directly into Fiesta will now be spread across all the Texas parks. Now, granted, that's not that many parks. It's 2 Schlitterbahn parks over Texas, Fiesta, Texas, and whatever water parks are attached to them. Now, if you look at a different region, right? There's the region like the Northeast where you have Great Adventure, New England, Great Escape, Wonderland, La Ronde. That's a lot of parks for one person to have to oversee. Now, again, they're not the sole person overseeing it because there are park managers at each individual park. But like I said, they don't have the same kind of power, so to speak, as what the park president position was. So this is going to be very interesting to watch. We really don't know how this is going to affect the parks going forward. This could cause a lot of change or not change too much. We're probably not going to see much happen right away. There were other positions eliminated across the company too. I don't know how many of them are really like out there, so to speak, but it sounds like they're just kind of downsizing as a whole across all departments, not just upper management. And this kind of is going back to the corporate side of Six Flags, where a lot of this, and Darius would know better than me, I don't want to go too far into it in this stream though, where a lot of it is, again, they're trying to get their revenue, all of their financial margins to a point where it'll match what they promise their investors. And I think that's what a lot of this is about at the end of the day, which the sad fact of it is, it's a business. They have to make their money get to where it needs to be. So on one hand, yeah, this really sucks. On the other hand, I mean, it's kind of inevitable. So Darius, I don't know if you have anything you want to add. Like I said, I don't want to go too far into it here because this is still the Q&A and everything. But what do you have to say about all this?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, just to all the people who are displaced, you know, we're all thinking about you. Everyone, you know, that I know was a good person. It's not like these parks were filled with, you know, evil corporate renegades. They're all people we know and love and kind of run into in the parks. So my heart's out to you guys. Any help, I'm sure anyone on this call or live stream will definitely be willing to help you guys out. And for the people who stayed, take care of your people. So enough of that PSA. A couple of things. One, like you said, Colin, this usually happens in a merger or an acquisition. And this is happening at a different kind of pace than I'm used to in corporate America. You know, you get rid of redundancies, but like you keep resiliency in place. And I'm not sure what Six Flags is doing. Time will tell. The tiered model where you have a regional manager making executive decisions and a person on site making operational decisions is not a foreign concept, but this is a fairly extreme version of that. And so we'll have to see how that plays out. If you compare and contrast it to like a Universal or Disney, they still have, you know, a fairly senior person on site. But once again, as we've talked, you know, they're operating on a operating income of $9 and $10 billion versus Six Flags combined with 40 plus parks, significantly lower. And so I think this will be the thing to watch as an enthusiast community is how do these changes impact our parks? Are they operating more efficiently? One would hope so, but at the same time, are we getting our value out of it? Yet to be determined.
Yes, that I could not have put it better myself. I think there's going to be some things we notice right away. Obviously, the lack of certain individuals working at the parks. That's probably the most obvious thing. Something I would also keep an eye on is that the social media across parks will probably be taking a bit of a hit because there were some social media positions that were eliminated. So I don't know if that means that we're going to see social combined with a different department or how this is going to be organized. A lot of this is very kind of up in the air to both people working in the company and people like us that are just analyzing from the outside looking in. But it's going to be an interesting time as we go into the summer because, like I said, this is all about making sure that they can keep their promises that they made to their shareholders, to their investors. And like I said, as much as it really sucks from a enthusiast perspective, the general public, where we're going to see things that may not be great for the parks happen. At the same time, we know this is a business and this is just how things go. So I hope I kind of put this in the best terms that I could. Obviously, there's going to be some really strong feelings about this. I have my strong feelings about it. I'm kind of holding them in because there are some really great people who we lost as a result of a lot of these cuts. And all I can say is I hope that the people that are coming in now are going to do just as good, if not a better job than those who were there, working with what they have, and only time will tell how that all goes. So,
hey Colin, again, you touched on something with Jeff, right? And I think you can see the potential of this model in what's going on with Over Texas. Fiesta Texas has been what I believe is one of the best parks in Six Flags, solely based on the way it's run, right? Its ride lineup is middle of the pack at best. But it's one of the most well-run parks. And to see Jeff's fingerprint on Over Texas immediately, like even before these things were announced, I was up there and I was like, wow, like something's different about this park. That is the potential for this thing to go right. The potential for it to go wrong is every other person who has this new position equally as competent and equally as passionate about their parks as Jeff is? And if the answer is no, this could go really south really quickly.
I agree. And there's also the fact that you're taking people who could be phenomenal at what they do, but you're asking them to take that drive and that passion that they have at one property and spread it across 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 properties in some cases. And the reality is that's just not feasible for a lot of people. So I could see this model
like
working.
it's an awful time for them to do this transition. I mean, all these parks are getting into their busy season where you need somebody on top of the parks keeping them running smoothly, and to do this transition right now, it just seems ridiculous.
It's definitely an interesting move, and I can say this from being at Great Adventure specifically as often as I am, the crowds are not there like they used to be. It is much less crowded on a more consistent basis, and the only times I've seen it crowded is during times when there's school trips. That's really the only times I've seen it super crowded. And obviously, when you have school trips there, they're all going to compound on the same days. So this is definitely an interesting time for the company. I mean, it's been a very interesting time for the past 11 months now, and it's only going to continue to get more and more interesting. So we're going to watch, see what happens. I have a feeling that within a year from now, we're going to see some pretty big things happen, not necessarily in terms of new ride additions, in terms of the makeup of the company, because I do think things will start to change as time goes on. But we'll leave it at that. It's a big topic to kind of address, and to figure out how to address it in the best way for the given audience is always tricky. So hopefully I kind of got the main strokes of it across. So big changes. Like I said, lots of people are no longer with the company, which begs the question, what is happening on the ride side of things? And a big question that keeps popping up is what is going on with the Kingda Ka replacement. So obviously we just showed off Six Flags Over Texas's Giga Dive, and the fact that there are track supports, everything on site. They're getting ready to get that thing vertical. Six Flags publicly announced that Great Adventure would be building a record-breaking launch coaster for 2026. They said that. That was officially said. Is it really going to happen? That's the question everyone's been asking. And as of right now, we're watching, the construction. I knew going into this year that I was going to be keeping a close eye on that to see what happens. And we haven't seen much of anything happen yet.
It's all behind that wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That magical wall.
It's just beyond the wall.
Yeah. It's like a cloak where we can't see anything. They think we can't see anything, but in reality, there's just nothing behind it.
I think you guys are wrong. I think they're using invisible ink.
They have no they have the invisible cloak over it, so you can't see what's actually going on.
Invisible ink. There's markers everywhere.
Right now at the site, all that is sitting in Kingda Ka's plot are 2 pieces of Green Lantern's track and some rubble. That is it. I've been watching for anything and everything that could lead to what's going on with this project. The most I have seen are red markings, presumably for electrical, in the parking lot nearby, which I don't really think is directly tying to this project. If they are building the coaster that we're all assuming that they're building, they would have needed to start already. No doubt about it. We would have at least seen light groundwork happening. And given everything that's going on with the company, I will not be surprised if the coaster does not open this in 2026. I'm just going to put that out there now. I think a lot of people have kind of figured that out. I wouldn't be surprised if it does not open in 2026. In fact, I'd be really surprised if it did at this point. We've seen no signs of track, supports, footers, anything. The whole plot there is just flat dirt. It's nothing. So that begs the question, what's going to happen to it? Is it even going to happen? Now, again, we know that they announced this. They already publicly said it's going to happen, but we haven't never seen this happen before in the amusement industry, where a company announces something and then pulls back for one reason or another. This isn't me saying that it's definitely canceled or definitely delayed. Again, these are all just context clues. I'm just reporting on what I see. And the fact is, I don't see anything. So this is definitely going to be an interesting time for Great Adventure, because obviously we kind of got, well, quite frankly, we got hit the hardest by this merger. We lost so many rides. We lost some great people now as well. And rebuilding from this is going to be a long process. And if we haven't even seen step 1 of that process start yet, it's definitely concerning, I guess, is probably the best word for what's going to happen. Now, I'm saying this because I want to be frank with you guys. Obviously, I love Great Adventure. I care about it deeply. And I was definitely paranoid when I heard about everything happening with Ka and Lantern last year. I was very worried. But somewhat reassured by what they said was going to happen, to replace everything. But seeing that that's not happening yet definitely has me concerned. And I'm hoping that these concerns can be put to rest sooner than later. But as of right now, I really don't see the coaster coming in 2026.
Hey, I want to be able to give these out to everyone, right?
I'll put one on my
these
Yeti.
out to everyone. So here's how it goes down. If next quarter does not have a significant improvement in the things that they talked about in their investor conference and their quarterly, they're going to say they're going to hold off on further investments, of which this would be one of them, until their economics get to the levels of performance that they promised in the merger. So if this quarter doesn't fill up Great Adventure and every other one, if they're not hitting those ticket sales numbers and they don't get the operational margins that they promised, they're going to say, hey, we're rethinking all of our investments. Exact words, basically. We're going to rethink our investments into 26. We're going to put these projects on hold until we get these things under control. And that is the end of that roller coaster.
Unfortunately, I have a feeling Darius is probably going to wind up sticking those stickers everywhere.
I will. You know what, Darius? If you're right, I will put that sticker. I don't have it with me. I have like a Yeti bottle with like the old Six Flags logo. I will put that like across diagonally, like right over, as if it's like caution tape or something. That would be awesome.
The world gets littered with these. This is free merch, people. Free merch. I give them out all day.
Everything they've been doing along the way has been to keep the investors happy. Even the not announcing of Ka was for investors to not get upset. So
it'll be even more interesting to see what Fright Fest Haunt season does for their numbers and whether or not that hampers their progress on capital investments.
Because
they're going to sell more blood bags, though. They're going to sell more alcohol.
They're going to sell those sangria blood bags. There's high profit margins on those.
I do want to address a couple questions about this in particular I see popping up in the chat just to kind of put them to rest. I see people saying if it is canceled or delayed, then when will they announce that? Well, first they need to make sure they have somebody to announce it. But besides that, I don't know. I really don't know. I think that they're going to play this really carefully because they know that Great Adventure and the fan base at Great Adventure is already on thin ice with current corporate leadership. I mean, as soon as they blew up that tower, that's when you lost the support of a lot of fans right there. And I've been saying since the beginning that Great Adventure needed to perform in order for this coaster and everything that they supposedly want to do with the park to happen. But that won't even matter if the company itself is still working on trying to please the investors. They won't have the ability to then turn around and return on what they promised for the park. So, this is going to be an interesting thing to watch. I'm hoping that Great Adventure in 5 years will finally have that car replacement plus a few more rides. But who knows if they'll even be owned by Six Flags by then? Because again, we really don't know. And another thing I see popping up is how did Over Texas get a Giga before Great Adventure got a car replacement? The easy answer to that is because the Giga was planned way before Ka was even thought to be blown up. The Giga has been in development for quite a few years now, and I know the former leadership of that park fought tooth and nail to make that thing happen. Labi Bora, that was slated to be removed regardless of what happened with the merger. It was directly in the line of this Giga dive, which was already going to happen for when it's happening. So you compare that project, which has had all this time to kind of sit and develop, to this one, which Ka was only decided to get removed probably around the time the merger happened. So for them to then plan on removing Ka completely and replace it fully by 2026, that turnaround time was always just a little unrealistic, and now it's looking much, much more unrealistic. Given that, again, it's June now, we've seen nothing in terms of new construction on that site. So, I mean, I think it kind of spells itself out there as to what we can expect to happen.
I mean, just to put it in perspective, this quarter they made $202 million and they operated at an operating loss of 400 plus million. So like, I don't see how they can put a new roller coaster in. You make 202 million, you lose 400 plus in a quarter. That doesn't seem like, hey, let's go spend $40 million on a roller coaster money.
Exactly. And, Darius and I, well, Darius more so, really dissected that Investor Day conference they had. And they acknowledged the fact that putting these major new big thrill coasters in does have a return on investment. But again, how can they justify spending that amount of money when this is the current state, right? It's not realistic. So I'm going to keep an eye on the plot. Again, I'm going to still do my weekly visits just to see what's going on there. But I am definitely past the point of expecting this ride to open in 2026. Because if I continued to say that, I would feel dishonest in telling you guys that it's going to open in 2026. Because I really don't think it will.
Six Flags leadership, if you guys don't want me to put these around the world, you give us a new coaster and I have to take these back. Like, I'm more than willing to take them back.
And hey, Six Flags, you can even open it in November. As long as you get it open in 2026, Darius won't be right. So
I'll have to eat
you have
these.
time. But that is all for the prepared topics I had for the stream. So now what we're going to do is scroll all the way back to the very beginning of the live chat and go through all of your questions. And as usual, super chats do get the priority. We'll jump to those right away if those get sent, and then go back to where we were in the stream. I am going to look at this community leaderboard thing because I am curious. So it looks like at KYTTLEA is in first place right now with 150 XP. Sky Guy is then in second place with 100 XP. And MBBSF 1999, or Michael, is in third place with 75 XP, tied with Johnny Honda, JD, Derailed Coasters, Jaden. Oh, there's a lot of people with 75 XP. So let's see who will be number one by the end of the night. But with all that, let's start off at the top of the chat, which is, I'm going to Epic Universe tomorrow. Any tips? Darius, I think you probably have more than enough tips to cover someone.
So the question is, if you're staying at a branded hotel and you get early entry, I would say get there about 15 to 20 minutes before the actual time, maybe even a half hour, because the place is packed. And so take advantage of early entry. If you're going to Super Mario World, it's not an advertisement, but the Power Up Band, I actually enjoyed all of the activities. You had Colin running around, and then you had, his dad and, whatever the hell I am running around with these things, beating blocks and trying to stay on the leaderboard. There is a leaderboard for the Power Band activities. The other thing is food. If you don't have a digital payment, capable credit card and everything, like, you need to figure that out, because I think the only way you can get food in most of the sit down establishments is through the ordering on the app. So make sure you have that set up. And honestly, Colin, I think it's a coin flip on hitting Mario before Harry Potter area. But I think the bigger bang for your buck is getting into the Mario Land and enjoying everything in that area, and then go for a night ride on the coasters, because I think all of those coasters, including Donkey Kong, are great at night.
Yeah, I would say first thing in the morning. Of course, it depends on what your priorities are, but I think Mario Kart is your best thing to hit first, and then Donkey Kong right after. Sometimes you'll get lucky with Donkey Kong. If you catch it right at the right time, the single rider line will open. And if you catch the single rider line right after it opens, as we know, you get right on pretty much. You do not wait very long versus waiting 30 plus minutes, maybe even an hour, 90 minutes in the standby. You don't want to do that if you don't have to. Now, Battle of the Ministry was not open for us when we went, but I've heard from a lot of people that your best bet is to catch it at the end of the night. But that also then means you're sacrificing night rides on the outdoor rides like Stardust, which is my personal go-to night ride. You cannot miss a night ride on Stardust Racers. I know Darius and my dad, they did get a night ride on Minecart Madness, which also looks like a phenomenal night ride. So make sure you get night rides on the coasters, the outdoor rides, because it's very worth it.
We did get night rides. We just didn't get night rides the second day or the first day. I can't remember, but we got a night ride.
On Stardust?
Yeah.
Well, was the nighttime audio on?
The lights were on, which they always are, but
They always,
was doing all of its streaking thing.
The nighttime audio is when it's officially a night ride.
Got it. It was more of a dusk ride.
Dusk ride. There you go. Stardust Racers. I got 3 rides on Wrath yesterday, all in the front row. First experience on a dive coaster, really incredible. Can't wait to ride it again. Yeah, that ride front row, that is the place to be for that ride, for sure. Let's see. Went to Great Adventure and Flash on-ride audio is working in the back row. It's good to hear. I'll have to give it a shot next time I'm down there and see if it has been fixed, because when I was there on Friday night, the audio was so little iffy in the back car. Let's see. How many times have you ridden Nitro? Phew. Hundreds, I'm sure. Maybe even 1,000. I don't even know. It's a lot. That's for sure.
But Nitro got eclipsed for rain rides. We learned that the last trip.
Yeah, Mako wins that battle.
Mako in the rain, for anyone on the live stream, if you've never been to SeaWorld, Mako in the rain is an amazing ride. And I used to think Nitro in the rain was a good ride. Mako in the rain had us cracking up for like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I was cracking up by my poncho getting blown up by a balloon, ripping, and my face being pelted by rain. So, yeah, it's a pretty interesting experience there.
Mako's a great ride.
Oh, yeah. I know that's like one of Ken's favorites right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to Holiday World for the first time in early July. Any tips or advice? Well, I've not been to Holiday World in 6 years, so I don't really have much of value to offer.
I mean, I've been there a bunch of times. I mean, there's no, hey, go run to this ride kind of thing. Like, I mean, a lot of people go to Voyage, but it's way the hell in the back, and so is Thunderbird, and the water park's awesome. Mammoth and Wildebeest are crazy good water coasters. Cheetah Chase is pretty good. It's every day I've been there, it's been a very relaxing park. Like, it's not crazy like your typical parks around us, like the Six Flags type parks.
I would think Good Gravy would be something.
Yeah, that's probably the one where you'd have to, because of capacity.
Yeah.
Which is also going to be in the very back.
In the water park. The water park's
so good.
Safari is really good.
Yeah.
I wish I had more time there because it was an excellent park. What chain offers the best deals with season passes?
Ooh.
Well, it used to be Six Flags for sure.
Yeah. Not anymore.
You can argue it still is, just from a price point and what you get.
Yeah.
The quality of the parks is wildly all over the place, but for one price, you're still getting all those places. Quality aside.
42 parks for the cheapest you can get it is probably $180 for that. That's pretty darn good for 42 parks.
Yeah. A Six Flags park with the all parks pass is the best deal in all of amusement right now.
Which is shocking that a company like that is offering such a deal.
I think that's going to change.
The quality is pretty all over the place, but you do get all of it.
Yes.
How's the song go? It's the end of the world as we know it.
Well, here's a fun nugget that, like, I bought the Cedar Fair Legacy Pass paper cup drink plan, added it to my Six Flags membership, and it was instantly able to be used with no issues, not having to go to GE to have any of that, like, fixed, because there was no problem to fix. So I'll give them that one. Every once in a while they get something right, and so
yeah, that was pretty astounding. I was shocked.
That was that was nothing short of a miracle.
But that's also because it was at a Cedar Fair park.
Right.
Well, we're getting a new app soon, so that should all get screwed up for you.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah. Have you been to Dollywood? Yes. If so, any important things to know about the park? Well, it's a big circle. So once you start going one way, you just might as well keep going, because there's no reason.
It depends on your game plan too. Like if your game plan is to go to Lightning Rod, you're going to go to the right. But if your game plan is not to go to Lightning Rod, go to the left, because Thunderhead's right at the top of the hill, and you'll hit way more coasters if you go to the left early versus all the dead space in the middle of the park.
Yeah, I would definitely say go left first. You hit Thunderhead, Dragonflyer, Big Bear, Mystery Mine.
Bring a lot of money because meals are expensive as crap there.
Speaking of meals, make sure you stop off at the grist mill and get cinnamon bread.
Yes. Actually, that's one benefit of going right first, because after Lightning Rod and the Rapids, that is where the grist mill is. And
That
is
is
where
true.
You're nice.
It's like right in the middle, yeah.
Yeah. So you may want to do that. Let's see.
Pay for the extra frosting.
Yeah. And you're probably going to want to get Time Saver, which is their Fast Pass.
Don't get it till you go, though. Don't buy it ahead of time.
Yeah, I agree. Is there any update on new rides coming to Great Adventure next year? We kind of went over that, but other than that particular ride, there's no information on anything. Let's
What do you want from America? Take your choice.
I want...
Oh, we didn't talk about that, huh?
I did kind of forget about that. Yeah, go figure.
Ooh.
Six Flags America getting forgotten.
Status quo.
Well, quite frankly, the only rides that'll really get saved from that park are most of the flats, but there's not even that much.
Great Adventure should take their flyers.
I think we can get the flyers, yeah.
I actually really liked Raging Cajun until I got there. They had to get a handicap person off, and I was stuck on the brake run spinning like your dad at Fiesta last year for about 10 minutes.
Oh,
straight.
yeah.
Oh, that's great. You know, I would love to see Raging Cajun go back to Great America in the exact same spot that it was in. I think that'd be kind of poetic.
That would be hilarious.
We get Raging Cajun, they take Dark Knight out of the box and put Raging Cajun in the box, just to spice it up a little bit. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, I think the flyers would be the most logical thing for us to get. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Shellraiser. So for those of you unaware, Shellraiser has been closed for over a year now up at the American Dream Mall, and I don't know that it will ever reopen. Truly. There's just a lot going on there, and I have a feeling it's probably way more expensive.
When I rode it, I think that was during COVID when I came and saw you guys and we rode it, and it ruined my day. It gave me the biggest headache I've ever had from a coaster, and absolutely ruined my day. And that was 5 years ago.
Yeah,
that place
right after it opened, pretty much. I mean, I rode it a couple months after it opened, and it was brutal. I never liked it. And I think a big issue with it, my dad said this from day one, I'll give him credit for it. The footers don't really exist because they're just covered over in concrete. Who thought that was a good idea? You look at the supports and they just go into the ground with no individual footer for themselves. So that
you can't adjust it.
Nope. Plus the fact that it was sitting in a parking lot for years because American Dream was such a joke to get built. Just a whole lot of factors that probably contribute to that ride being a mess. And honestly, I don't know that it will reopen. So I hope you guys got your credit.
The launch was cool.
Oh, the launch was phenomenal. That's one of the best LSM launches.
And then being at the top and seeing the whole tower shake as you're at the top.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem is that ride didn't shake enough because the footers are all covered.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, your dad was dead on. I can't find another example like that. Like, you can't put leveling plates. You can't do anything with the way that ride was built.
No. Yeah, definitely not. Congrats on 29K. Thank you. Yeah, I kind of forgot to mention that. But yeah, I guess this is kind of the 29K stream as well. So we're this close to 30K. Getting there. Let's see. Heard Batwing in America had a lift issue with the last operating Flying Dutchman ever operate again. I heard it was testing. So that's a good sign.
I mean, if they're closing the park and they're thinking about, like, and they're not going to send it somewhere, which they're not, they might as well try to get it up and running with their last, season of operation here.
Yeah, make the last season a good one.
Yeah. Summer of Batwing, come on.
The Summer of Batwing. That feels like a shirt. Speaking
of summer, I kind of forgot to mention this at Great Adventure. So out of nowhere, we dropped the Summerbration event in favor of DC Heroes and Villains Fest, which I think is interesting. It's only going to run for about a month at the end of the summer, and I'm very curious how that's going to go, quite frankly. I mean, I know the entertainment team. They know what they're doing at Great Adventure, but that was a pretty last-second switch up. They also do not have a flash anymore. What was that?
They got rid of Summerfest?
Yeah, Summerbration is no longer on the website, and it got replaced with DC Heroes and Villains Fest, which I think is a cooler sounding event. It's just, are they going to be able to execute on the scale we want it to be at? Because
is everyone doing it?
No, Magic Mountain is, I think Mexico is, and Great Adventure is. I don't know who else. Most of the parks are doing Summerbration. But if you guys remember, at the start of the season and last season, we had a Flash character at Great Adventure. I have not seen him since opening weekend. That was the last time I saw him.
He's been too fast for you to see him.
I guess so. I guess he was fast enough to move a bench in front of his stage. So I would assume he may not be coming back. But I know they are looking for people to play Batman, Wonder Woman, maybe Superman, maybe Robin. I don't know. But it's exciting, that's for sure.
Chad is saying there was a crane next to Batwing's lift.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, I don't think "Long Live the Wing" shirts will sell that well, Colin. So.
Long live the wing.
Oh, that's
Bob
great.
wins joke of the night.
I almost have to make that just for the joke of it.
Long live the wing. You got to get like the sign with Batman on it, like the arch.
Yep. But I can't break copyright rules. Gotta be careful with that. Hey, Colin, since you visited Great America, yes, I rode everything there except for Demon and Blue American Eagle because they were both closed. Goliath, solid RMC. And I will tell you more after I answer the super chat. Let me scroll through.
I don't have the horn loaded up.
Thank you, Josh, for the super chat.
Just make it with your mouth, Tom.
Twizzlers or Yeti Flyer?
Twizzler.
Okay, there's your answer.
Twizzler.
I would assume Twizzler. All right, I need
like
to
a cool name like the Twiz.
So this is what they call my ice cream when I have it almost every night. I have not had my ice cream yet, so this doesn't apply quite yet, Zach, but thank you. Anyways, before Bob can think of a terrible joke to make with that, back to this. Goliath, solid RMC. It's middle of the road for sure.
I can't wait till they see your video and see your reaction to Raging Bull because I was so happy.
Yeah, Raging Bull was awesome. Oh my god. I decided to not ride it again just because I didn't want that first ride, like how much I loved it, to be tainted because I loved my first ride on it. But
we got tossed.
Oh, so good. Max Force, that launch is crazy. It is not as good as Ka or Dragster's launch in terms of how much I enjoy it, but the power is unbeatable on that thing. It's nuts. And then you asked about X-Flight. X-Flight's good. I didn't really have any issue with it. It's a harmless ride. Not my favorite wing, that's for sure, but it's fine. It does what it's got to do.
It's a little rattly. It has a lot of cool head choppers and things, though. So
see, when I rode it, I actually thought it was really smooth.
You rode inside, though, right?
I rode inside.
I think I've only ridden outside seat on all of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. Let's see. Do you think there will ever be a 400+ foot tall lift hill coaster? If you asked me 10 years ago, I would have said yeah. But now, I just don't really see it.
I mean, they haven't even gone above Fury, right?
No. Fury is still the tallest lift hill coaster, technically, if you're not counting launch lift hills.
I mean, I could see them going slightly above Fury just to be like, oh, we have the tallest lift hill like now, but I don't see them going to 400. I don't think there's a point in it.
No.
Well, we had the conversation about 400. There's not a lot of places. There's not a lot of parks where you could build something to 400 in
enough
a reasonable
space
way.
to kill the energy, right?
Yeah, oddly enough, Fiesta Texas, you could build it off the quarry wall. But I can't think of another park that has a natural area. Maybe Magic Mountain, but like I don't think that elevation change is enough, and I don't think there's enough usable space. But the quarry wall on the backside of Fiesta Texas gets you 190 feet from top to bottom.
So it's doable there. But
Yeah.
remember, it's a Six Flags park, so
There is that.
One small issue.
let's see. This is when we were talking about bathrooms. I like the Jersey Devil bathrooms, just during the winter because they're warm. See, the Jersey Devil bathrooms were great when they weren't the Jersey Devil bathrooms. When they were the Seaport
When they were
bathrooms,
Koala Canyon bathrooms.
yeah, that's when they were good. Now they're just whatever.
I mean, are we going to get into what our favorite stall is? Well, on the next live stream, we can talk about our favorite stalls.
Everybody come back with your top 5 stalls.
Oh God. Rakshasa was my first media day. So cool meeting everyone. Well,
Yeah.
I'm very happy you were able to get to your first media day because it was a really cool one, and I like that it wasn't like a million people, and
But
that was
having said that, the
well.
dispatches were
I
left a
mean,
little to be desired.
that's to be expected. That's how.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. We've been to other media days where they were cycling much faster than that, especially once the like news people were gone.
I think what it was is that Chicago has a high influx of news channels that specifically report on that park rather, and most of them seem to be doing live broadcasts. So it was just the fact that we caught it at a really bad time where they're trying to.
Because I mean, when we got in line, we were only about 40 people deep, and we waited like an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that was rough, especially because I was cold. But hey, they let us ride twice. So
they did let us ride twice, but I was in row 2, so.
Hey, it's better than one ride in row 2.
I guess.
Let's see. Pantheon or Maverick?
Pantheon.
I think I have them back to back in my rankings, actually. Let me check. I have Pantheon one spot below Maverick.
Yeah.
I think I have Pantheon above Maverick as it stands, but I got to give that some thought.
They're close, though. They're really close. But yeah, I'll give the edge to Maverick. I hear my dog knocking on the door.
Pantheon.
Let's see. What's next? Do you think the Skyway Great Adventure can make a comeback? It can. The question is, will it? I don't think it will.
No. They chopped the tops, man. There's no coming back from that. That was a clear message.
All right, I'm going to put this question on so I can go let Munchie in the room. But Bob, this is a good one for you.
Yeah, I've been to all 3 of these multiple times. I'm not a Voyage fan, and I don't feel like ERT waiting 45 minutes. Losing my camera here. Come back. Hold on. There we go. I don't feel like waiting 45 minutes to an hour to ride Voyage during ERT is real ERT. I've always felt like Hollywood Nights is extremely overrated. The thing that's always have been cool about Coasterstock is that it's an event where you have all these different coaster clubs coming together and everybody gets along. There's no bullshit. There's no drama. And they pack so much cool stuff into those 2 days, and the ERT is incredible on a much wider variety of coasters. Coaster Mania was great for a while, and then they just started doing the same crap over and over and over again every year. Like 2018, the Steel Vengeance opening year, we were at our last ride on Steel Vengeance was like at 2:30 a.m. and we left at like 3 a.m. And then they started, especially since COVID, they've really scaled back a lot and really kind of do. If you've never been there, it's awesome. Or if you ever only go every couple of years, it's awesome. Especially the boat tour is my favorite part. But if you've gone multiple times, it's because Colin, you went twice, right? And the second year was a huge letdown compared to the first year.
Yeah, it was a big difference. Also, I don't know how many of you caught the Munchie cameo. I see it popping up in the chat now. Munchie wasn't too happy about that cameo.
It also depends on which one you can get tickets for, because it's become like impossible to get tickets for.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that the same people and influencers can always manage to seem to get tickets to Hollywood Nights every year, even though nobody else can seem to get them.
Yeah, Hollywood Nights used to be really easy. You could get tickets the day before, but not anymore. And I'm not going to battle for tickets.
It's also become really overcrowded from the looks of it.
Yes, Christian, 2:30 a.m. We walked like 19 miles that day. The event started at 6:30 a.m. and we left at about 2:45.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hey, Tom, did you and Austin? Well, you kind of answered that. You mentioned Vengeance.
Yeah, you know what? I can tell you exactly what we rode because I'm a little freak and I write all of that down. So we did Top Thrill 2 twice, which was the goal. The goal was Top Thrill, and then anything else would be extra. So here's the extra. Magnum, Maverick, Steve, Millie, Raptor, and Iron Dragon each once.
There you go.
How was the new
fast
lift?
lane.
How did Millie's lift?
It makes that first drop a lot better, but like I didn't want to agree with you, Colin, because I remember loving Millie when we first went out there in 2022 for my big graduation trip. But you're kind of right. After that first drop and that first little bit, the second half kind of dies off hard. It's just I wish there was more to it. But it's a really good first drop, so I enjoyed that. We were in the very back, if I remember correctly, so at least there was that.
Millionaire 2K is an interesting take on Top Thrill 2. In protest of Ka being removed, I will never ride Top Thrill 2 while it's still the tallest coaster in the world. I'll ride it once it loses its bracket.
You're playing with fire because that thing could go down any day and never reopen. So
That's why we spent 12 hours in the car in one day, just for that possibility.
3 years from now.
So how has it been running?
3 years from now, you
actually,
won't be able to get
when
that
I was
credit.
there on Memorial Day, it didn't go down at all. It didn't roll back at all. It was, and they were cranking trains out. As soon as it cleared the top hat, the next train was already on the launch track, ready to go. Their crew was just killing it.
I can't believe I didn't mention this, but the other big thing, Austin and I were going to try to get a third ride. Maybe this was around like 5 o'clock. We get in the line, we sit down, and then they tell everyone to get back in line. Like, they're like, everybody in the station, please take a few steps back. So we're like, okay, we're going to wait a little bit. After an hour and a half, they played the auto spiel where they were like, we don't anticipate it will reopen. Please enjoy another attraction or whatever. And like, it was just all automated spiels. And they hit us with that one. So we decided just at that point to make the 6-hour drive back home. But it was going down sporadically the day I was there 2 weeks ago. But I'm glad to hear it sounds like it's up more consistently now.
Yeah, it is good to hear. Depending on who you ask, I guess. Hey, Bob, Wrath has 2 final break runs, so he should be able to run 3 trains despite not having mid-course. True, it's kind of like the Fury situation. Same with like Orion and Leviathan, where it's got the break and then the other break.
I mean, I hope that's the case, but I don't think it will be.
Either way, it's a long cycle time from block to block.
Yeah.
From lift hill will drop to the first block on the brakes. That's still a long cycle.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Hey, at least the crew won't be too pressured to pump trains out like they are at Dr. Diabolical. Dr. D, they got to pump those trains out to keep the 3 trains moving constantly. And they do. They do.
They do a great job.
Let's see. While Cobb will be missed, Top Thrill 2 delivers such an incredible ride experience you can't get on anything else. It's true. I mean, there are things about Top Thrill 2 that are far better than what Dragster had. Really, the only up Dragster had on Top Thrill 2 was the launch. Everything else is better about Top Thrill 2 than what it was on Dragster.
Yep.
It's a guaranteed elusive rollback.
Yeah, he guaranteed that elusive rollback.
Bob, have you ridden it this year?
I have not gotten on it yet. No.
You have not ridden the new trains?
I have not. I heard it's a very similar ride experience, but it's obviously not as rattly now. And everybody said though it's obviously when it's not going down left and right, it's been running really well.
So who thinks that it'll be here 3 years from now?
Not me.
I'm going to say
maybe. I think if it's reliable this year, where it's not tearing itself apart at some point, it'll be fine. But we'll see. Let's see what the upkeep is by the end of the year.
Yeah, that'll be the real test.
I think the challenge is you have to replace that top hat at some point in time. And if what someone said is true, which is only the original manufacturer can do it, I doubt Intamin would sign up to do that.
Well, yeah, from everything I've heard through the grapevine is that Intamin would not give up any of the data or plans, so Zamperla went in completely blind.
Yeah.
Interesting. Casino Pier, Austin just rebuilt most of the Seaside Heights Boardwalk, so you'll get to walk on Austin's great work if you go ride Hydrus.
Yes.
Let's see. Next up, the future looks bright for Over Texas and Over Georgia. I agree. I will say Over Georgia did just lose their park president, who's a great guy. I mean, that can be said about literally every park in the chain, though, because they're all gone. But yeah, I think Over Georgia and Over Texas are going to get a lot of investment. When's Quantum opening? Well, wouldn't you be one to know? I'm hoping by the end of June. That's my guess. Hoping. We'll see. Has Georgia Gold Rush reopened yet? So I have seen from a lot of people that have visited recently that it's not been open. I know they've been working on getting the spinning working, which it looked like they kind of did. I haven't heard too much about that ride though.
Spinning too fast now.
They heard Ken's cries of not wanting it to spin and decided to remove it. No, but I really don't know why that's not.
They should actually have one side that spins and one that doesn't spin.
I agree.
I was just thinking that, like, one wheel should spin and the other one should just be static or spin slower.
I think that's how the one at Mall of America is, that surfboard thing they have, right? Because I think I read the side that didn't spin.
I think
completely.
Timmy's is almost like that too, but it doesn't really work properly because it's an American Dream. Let's see. Do you think Great Adventure will receive a drop tower in the near future? I'd be surprised. I'd be really surprised.
When was the last new drop tower other than Zumanjaro? Like, I mean,
Free Fall in Orlando.
Yeah.
We don't talk about.
Yeah. They're not that big of a thing anymore.
No, they're not that marketable.
I think that kind of put an end to drop towers.
Yeah, that was kind of the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy when you think of everything we've lost and what we have left. We don't have a drop tower. Was it you that I was talking to, Colin? Like, if you go through Six Flags rides, there's not, with the exception of El Toro, there's not a single ride that's not a clone in Flash now.
Wow.
Nitro.
Yeah,
True.
I mean, it's
not in the
there's other
sense
things
that, like,
you can ride that easily
The only
replace it. But yes, you're right.
experience is El Toro, and the live one.
And the okay.
Well, Mine Train.
Yes.
Mine Train. There is no Mine Train like ours.
Yep. But like Medusa, cloned.
Screen.
Batman, cloned. Superman, cloned. Right? Like
Joker,
Yeah.
Dark Knight. Skull Mountain's unique though.
Skull Mountain's unique.
what about the
better
one
road.
up in isn't Over Texas similar?
Oh,
Runaway Mountain? No, it's
Premier.
different enough.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Okay.
So what you're saying is we need something unique.
Yeah.
I'm saying a lot of things in that, but yes, if we don't start getting something unique, then you could basically piece together a visit to Six Flags Great Adventure without ever going there.
Yeah.
It's true. It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah. I mean, we went from having several one-of-a-kind coasters to basically being a clone park.
Yeah.
We have a safari
We do have the Safari.
for now.
For now. Yeah, this company's track record for keeping live animal exhibits open is not a good one. So
But
go get
let me
your
clarify.
loot.
You're making it sound like they're going to kill them all. They don't kill the animals. They will
Yeah.
just. I think Great Adventure will be okay though, because that's such a major part of the park's identity. And I also think there's a clause with the Switlicks that the Wild Safari cannot go anywhere. I think. Let's see. Jameer says Alpine Fury is like 50% completed with its last inversion. Okay. Yeah, I can see that opening in July. Maybe.
Of 26?
No.
Because that's where I'm at.
I hope not.
I think
Like
they're going to push it
50%.
to next year. Why open it now?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't.
Canada's got a bit of a different, I guess, way of marketing things because of the way their holidays are. Like they don't have 4th of July up there. They don't have to worry about that.
Well, they do have 4th of July.
Well, yes, but
Okay.
not quite. Why did Cedar Point get Siren's Curse and not almost any other park? Oh,
I think
because Cedar Point's the
There,
favorite.
I think there's two things that went into that. I had this discussion with somebody yesterday. I think one was that, hey, who has a flat plot of land already ready to go that will fit this thing? And Cedar Fair did, because they had that plot for a while now, ready for something, or Cedar Point rather. And then the second thing is, I think it was like, okay, if Top Thrill 2 does crap the bed and it's not ready, here's the distraction.
Yeah, that's a pretty good assessment there, I'd say.
I think they were still in the period of emotional decision making. I don't think
That's
they
it.
actually sat and ran numbers and were like, "Oh, this is where we should put it." I think they responded to to what you said. I think they had very emotional decision making. How do we like placate certain factions? And Cedar Point had to be a success. And I think they unfortunately should have taken the same emotional decision making when it came to Great Adventure, but I think at that point in time it was too late.
They haven't run wild with Siren's Curse though, like they did with the last couple coasters, where they're like just making up stuff for records and things. Like they're obviously like, oh, like here we're gonna have the tallest tilt coaster and blah 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 because by default. But when they like had Valraven and they had Steel Vengeance, they were just making crap up to say they had all these records.
Yeah.
This is what I was mentioning earlier. Greg Fuller, he was the president over at Over Georgia, and he was, like I said, really, really nice guy. I got to talk to him opening weekend, actually, and he had some really, really great ambitions for the park. And people ask him about Tony. Tony is the regional PR manager for Six Flags Great America, Cedar Point, and Michigan's Adventure. He is not in upper management or anything like that. Colin wore that shirt to Hershey Park yesterday. Got 3 compliments. Had a great time with 2 rides in Skyrush, Wildcat, Twizzlers. Well, glad to hear that. I remember when I wore this to Epic, not really many guests mentioned the shirt, but a lot of employees mentioned that they loved the shirt and how sad the whole situation was. So I appreciate seeing these shirts out in the wild. I always find it really cool.
I've seen them at Cedar Point, and not just on Austin and I, who were wearing them as we rode Top Thrill 2.
I love it.
That's my new mission, to wear this shirt while I ride Top Thrill 2.
Yep. Call me Tom Petty.
Ooh, it's a good one. Iron Menace or Valraven?
I did not ride Valraven last time I was there.
I really don't like Valraven.
I think it's one of the most boring thrill coasters I've ever ridden.
But Valraven doesn't hurt you. It might be boring, but it doesn't hurt you.
It hurts my mind for just knowing how boring it is and how cool it could have been.
I would put Dr. Diabolical above all of them.
Yes.
Me too.
I don't like either of them.
I would put Wrath over both of these as well.
Yukon Striker.
Yeah, the Yukon is at the top of the pack there. I'd say Iron Menace is probably a little better than Valraven just because it's more interesting. Valraven's just boring. Iron Menace is at least entertaining. In good ways and bad ways. Boardwalk will become a parking lot for season pass holders. Let's hope not. Although I don't like the boardwalk, but that doesn't mean I want it to become a parking lot again. Let's see. If I see signs this month for the 2020 6/7 coaster, I'll just call it the Kingda Ka replacement, then maybe. But it depends what those signs are. I mean, if I see footers getting poured or, the start of that, sure. But if it's just like more dirt being moved around, I don't know about that. Yeah, there you go, Darius. You gotta sell those. Those will sell like crazy in a couple years. Or now for the people that want to be early adopters. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. What's your opinion on the Hershen Palace Parks merger?
I think they're going to do a really good job with Adventureland, if more than anywhere else. Because like Kennywood's a weird situation where 1, you're really, really landlocked with not much to work with, and 2, you don't want to give up that like old timey park feeling, which obviously Hershen does a really good job with. But I just see more so like adding festivals and theming and things like that than anything else right off the bat. Because it took them a while to invest in Kentucky Kingdom.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the one to watch, right? Because if you think of, 40 plus parks in Six Flags, if you think of Disney and Universal combined sub 14 internationally, like those are the bell ends of the market, right? You have the really high end of the market, the really low end of the market, and then you have Six Flags smack dab in the middle with Hershen, and then some of the European park conglomerates. I think Hershen is going to probably wind up buying some properties from Six Flags if I'm a betting person.
Yeah, I can see that. I think Hershen, United, and Six Flags are the big 3. and only one or two of them are really going to make it through without some major change. And I think Six Flags could be the one with that major change coming.
Yeah.
But time will tell. Let's see. Next up, I see Millionaire 2K in the recent part of the chat asking what Darius was right about. Darius,
All of it.
Everything.
All
Darius
of
was
it.
wrong.
So specifically, we're saying that the 2026 Ka replacement, the reason for its postponement is going to be next quarter's financial performance. Six Flags will come out either Q2 or Q3 and say we are not where we need to be from an overall performance standpoint post-merger. And until we hit those numbers, we are going to rethink our investment strategy on large capitalization projects, in particular coasters. That's going to be the wording.
Yeah. Next up, what's your guys' favorite arrow looper?
Viper.
Viper.
That's
Which
the easy
Viper?
one.
Magic Mountain.
Magic Mountain.
Viper near the front. I destroyed me in the back, but near the front, it's very good. And then Tennessee Tornado right after that.
Are we talking currently operating or all time?
We could do all time. Vortex is up there if that's the case.
Great American Scream Machine is up there.
That's what I was going to say. Scream
I
Machine.
never got to ride it.
Yeah, Great American Scream Machine. I personally think in its prime was the best arrow looper.
Better than Viper?
Yeah. Viper was, listen, they were all headbangers. They will make you bleed if you wear earrings. But I thought they put a lot of work into Great American Scream Machine to get it to be a fun coaster ride. So that's what I'm going with. What about you, Ken?
I like Loch Ness.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
I have yet to ride it since the redo.
I don't think there's a
I
better
just rode it. I just rode it like right after Rapterra with the redo, and like it's great, but like the stuff in the tunnels is so lame and cheesy. It's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. I
didn't either. I was like, "What on earth is this?"
And
They
then you
kept
turn the
its
corner.
80s charm.
I was with Jason, and he was like hyping it up on purpose for me because he knew that I would
He
that
does
would be the
that.
reaction I had, and I was like, "What on the heck is this?"
But it's very smooth now.
Yeah,
It
very
is.
very much
It
so.
is.
Let's see. What do I think Hershey Park's fate is over the next 5 years? I think it's going to continue to become the best park in America. I think that's what's going to happen, to
Yep.
put it bluntly.
We keep growing.
It'll dethrone Cedar Point.
What parks are in Great Adventure's region? Okay,
Their
so
division.
it depends what region we're talking about, because there's two different. This is when it gets complicated. There's two different versions of the regions. There's the upper management regions and the rest of the regions. Now, I don't know if that's still the case, but
No,
from my
in theory-
understanding, Great
In
Adventure.
theory, shouldn't it just be Dorney, King's Dominion, Great Adventure, and America until America's gone? Probably.
Not at all.
Okay.
No.
So Dorney is now grouped with King's Dominion, America, Carowinds, and Over Georgia.
Oh,
Great Adventure is with New England, Great Escape, Darien Lake, presumably Wonderland, and La Ronde.
That makes no sense.
no.
And
So
then Cedar Point, Great America, Michigan's Adventure, Kings Island in their bubble. And you get the Texas bubble and the West bubble.
So
But
they're doing it like New England, Mid Atlantic, Midwest, kind of.
Now, who do we think comes out of the Eastern Conference Final?
Yeah.
now here's
Probably
the
not the
thing.
Knicks.
Here's the thing. PR, I don't know if that has switched over to that yet. Because as of right now, PR for the East region is still from the very north down the J, I call it, to Texas. So there's
Because
two
This is the
separate
most like
regional-
gerrymandered thing I've ever seen.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm imagining PR will not be like that for much longer. Again, that could be PR in other departments. I just know from like there's the regional PR directors, and they cover their whole region, and there's one for East, one for Midwest, one for West. That
Until they fire them all and make Tony do it all.
Let's hope not. Not because Tony can't do it. I wouldn't want to put that much work on anybody.
No, absolutely not.
So I think there's two ways, Colin, that they're slicing it. I think there's operationally, and there's probably multiple ways that they've sliced it, and they're going to have to fix that. I think the bigger question is when they go to those regional season passes, which parks are going to be in which buckets.
Yeah, it's true. I will say,
but why would you not put Dorney in Great Adventure?
So Ryan Eldridge, who, as you guys probably know, is the PR guy for Great Adventure in Dorney, he still does Great Adventure in Dorney, despite the fact that the upper management now do not have connection between those parks. He is the last link between Great Adventure and Dorney. So you're holding down the fort there, Ryan.
That's so dramatic.
The missing link.
It's crazy, that's for sure. Let's see. I'm moving to St. Louis end of June. Do you think Six Flags will invest in St. Louis?
St. Louis, yeah. Yes, drive to Silver Dollar City. It's superior in every way possible. What's funny is of all the I was looking at this the other day thinking about it. Of all the Six Flags legacy parks, St. Louis is the one that gets crapped on the most. I mean, I know we can talk about America as well, but St. Louis gets nothing.
And St. Louis is a good park too. I have no issues.
In a good area with a good population. Because it's not directly in St. Louis, right? It's in Eureka, I think.
Eureka, yeah.
It's up the road a little bit, yeah.
It's like how Great America is to Chicago, about 40 minutes.
And it's one of those parks, too, where it's not packed that often. So, you can go and enjoy yourself, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good park. They got a cool ride collection. Not like a standout, but it's a good ride. It's a good park.
You could get, 2 miles in just walking to the boss and back.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't that the backwards Batman? The mirrored Batman?
That is one of the mirrored Batman. Just like Fiestas. Which other ones are mirrored? I forget.
And
even though I've written all of them at this point.
Ninja.
Let's see. Cinnamon bread is the greatest theme park food ever. It's up there.
I like the Silver Dollar City version better than Dollywood's when we had it, though, because it was less greasy and it was so good.
I definitely agree with that.
It makes everything better.
If we want to talk drinks, though, if you bring drinks into the equation, butterbeer destroys everything.
100%.
Frozen butterbeer specifically.
Yes, I agree.
And I was pleasantly surprised by the blue milk in Galaxy's Edge.
Everybody says it's great.
I actually thought it was really good. It's like a Slurpee, but different.
Hey, Colin, back to the mirrored Batman statement. Is Great White mirrored or not? Because then we may have to
left, right? Turning left is the original. Turning right is mirrored.
I think
it turns left. It turns left because I took pictures of Tom and Gabe on it coming towards me, and I was standing on the midway.
Yeah. So Great White turns left. Chupacabra turns right. So technically, Darius, they're not identical.
No, you're right. So we had this conversation that San Antonio is the only place where you can ride 2 Batman clones in the same city, which technically is still true because they're Batman clones, but there's the technicality that one is mirrored and the other one isn't. So now San Antonio is the only place that you can ride a mirrored Batman clone and a regular Batman clone in the same city.
Yes.
I mean, is it also the only place where you can ride just 2 B&M inverts in the same city?
Might be.
Could be.
It probably is.
Yeah.
The one at La Ronde, I think, does turn right. I haven't been to La Ronde, so I don't know. I think it is mirrored. Okay. Does Wrath have a rattle?
Nope.
So.
Well, okay, wait. Sorry. In the front row, it didn't.
Front row, no. I've been told, because I only got 3 rides, I've been told that, because I rode, my first 2 rides were back row, right edge, but one in from the right edge. And it wasn't glass, but it was not Iron Menace rough. I will say that. It was probably even smoother than Rapterra, honestly.
In the front, I felt nothing. In the second row, just a slight rattle.
in the front, you can still feel like the weird, like maybe little, like, I guess you can call it a bounce, the side to side lateral movement, but it doesn't hurt or anything like that. It's very smooth for the most part.
Oh, yeah. Ryan just corrected me. I forgot, since they added the 2 family inverts, you can ride 2 B&M inverts in the same park at both Chicago's parks.
Yeah, it's true.
Good job, Ryan. Way to be heads up.
Unpopular opinion, Stardust Racers is too rough. You know, we noticed that when we were there, that it has a rattle. I wouldn't say it's too rough, but it's not glass smooth at all. It's got a bite. But pretty much everything has a bite nowadays. There's nothing that's really glass smooth. Even the RMCs have a little vibration to them. But that could just be me getting schizophrenic. I don't know. Let's see. Here we go. Do you think Six Flags would relocate all this Steamtown to Great Adventure? Ooh, actually, what if they took all the thematic elements from Steamtown and just like moved it to another park and kept all the rides from it? Now, that wouldn't work at Great Adventure or New England because of Screamore, but that could be interesting.
Congratulations, Great Escape.
Here you go, Great Escape. You get an SLC.
I heard they're opening Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, that's going to be the first edition.
Hollyland.
They should just call Gene Staples and sell it all to Clementon.
Yeah, that'd be nice. See Clementon get the RMC Hellcat, all these new rides. That'd be pretty cool. Let's see. Hot take: rollbacks died the day Ka died. Well, you can still get rollbacks.
There's still been rollbacks, yeah.
You can get a rollback on Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, you can still get rollbacks on Top Thrill too. They did it on opening day several times.
You can.
Storm Runner. It's rare, but Storm Runner.
Yeah, Matugani.
Even Velocicoaster occasionally does.
Full Throttle, Max Force.
The rollback seems to be alive and well.
Yeah, there's plenty of rides you can still get a rollback on. But I will admit, there is nothing even remotely close to a real rollback on Ka or Dragster.
Yeah, sure.
That is a just unspeakable experience right there. Do you think Knoebels will open a new coaster for their 100th? They've been hinting at it. I hope they do. That'd be pretty cool. They could definitely use one. Do you think a mock extreme spinner will go over Lake Charles at King's Dominion in a few years?
That would be cool.
Be great. Yeah. I'd love to see like something like Ride at Happiness.
That would be a park that you could pull that off in too.
Yeah. King's Dominion would jump up to like easy top 3-seater fare if they got that.
Can you give me like a Mosasaurus roll on the Mac Extreme spinner right over the water, please? Just like
that'd be too good. Let's see. But the Peanuts, what? I'm just going to read this.
With the Peanuts IP for Cedar Fair Legacy Parks coming to an end in 2025, do you think Six Flags will implement the Warner Brother properties throughout Legacy Cedar Fair?
Here's the problem with both of these. Like, none of these like really appeal to kids anymore. Like, they're not paying attention to either of them. Like, they know who Snoopy is, kind of, but other than that, they're not like in tune with like hardly any of this.
See, I think that spells a broader problem, and that's the fact that entertainment as a whole, and specifically looking at kids' entertainment, has become so oversaturated to the point where there is not one property that all kids are all watching. Same thing with adults. There's not that one property that everyone knows and watches because there's just so much out there.
Yep.
So finding something that everybody likes and sees, and it's just not possible anymore.
I think you're going to see them. Sorry, Kyle.
That said, I do agree that Peanuts and the WB properties probably not the smartest ones to use, specifically Looney Tunes. I think Peanuts is better. Peanuts, I know the Peanuts. I'm not a little kid anymore, but I know people that are younger than me, the younger generation, they still know the Peanuts not as well as like Darius's or Bob's generation or Ken's generation, but they still know them. I mean, you guys grew up with them.
I grew up with the Peanuts. I feel like I'm an exception. Yeah, I mean, like I always had the specials and watched them around the holidays.
Well, I mean the specials, yeah, but like actually
Wah,
watching.
wah, 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 wah.
Wah, 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 wah.
I will say I think Six Flags to this day is so underutilizing the DC IP. It's kind of criminal just how much they're underutilizing it. I would so much rather see Universal or Disney get their hands on that IP and do what should be done with that. Because God, I'm so sick of seeing coasters that just have a superhero name slapped over them.
I would say they just slap it on. They don't do anything with it.
It's so lame. And seeing like, I was just at Disney again too, and riding Guardians again reminded me of like how good of a job you can do with, these IPs and these characters that have such rich backstories. I mean, Spider-Man 2 at Universal, like there's so much they could do. And the best we've gotten, arguably, is Justice League. And even that is deeply flawed.
What, you don't like the rolled up pieces of paper lying on the platform?
It's very, very
immersive.
I actually feel like
more.
It's like you're really there.
This is a good one. Magic Mountain's DC event ends about 2 weeks before Great Adventure's DC event starts. Thinking that we might be trucking all the DC event stuff from Magic Mountain to Great Adventure for their event, maybe even the actors too. I think you're onto something right there. That would make a lot of sense. I mean, you could just contract out all those California actors that are probably doing it at Magic Mountain to come over here and do it. The guy who played Flash, he was from California. So I could definitely see that being the route they go. Because it is small. It's not a very, well, not small. It's a short event. It's not super long. Let's see. Would you all say that at this point, if you don't live within an hour of Great Adventure, it's not worth visiting for another few years?
No.
Not for a few years, but
if you don't go regularly, it's still going to be fun.
You still have El Toro. You still have Nitro, Devil, Flash now. I mean, you still have...
You might run into Hollywood Studios.
There you go. That's always a fun possibility. No,
and
but
honestly, the Safari is fun.
The Safari is way better than anyone gives it credit for. I enjoy the Safari thoroughly. And we have our share of unique rides. I mean, we have like most of Frontier Adventures is very unique. It may not be the greatest, but we got the Log Flume, we got Runaway Train, we got Best of the West when it decides to be open. There's some cool stuff. And Great Adventure still has that charm. Do I think it's in the best state it could be? Absolutely not. But the foundation is still there, and hopefully we'll see them build upon it. It's not looking like it, but we'll see.
And if you can afford it, Savannah Sunset is really unique.
Yes, it is. The issue I have with Savannah Sunset, though, is why are we going to pay that much money to come to the park when the park is the way it is right now, where it's much more in line with your typical Six Flags as opposed to something resort-like Hershey, like Cedar Point.
I would be curious to see if they're selling out like last year.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. I mean, I think the Safari would probably be a much better grouped thing with Savannah versus the park because it just relates to it better as well. The Safari is a big draw. So, I mean, Safari every weekend consistently gets multiple hour lines because that's what people are coming for. It's a great thing to do on the weekend, even during the week. This is a good one, Austin. What do you think is going to happen to Marineland? Rumor has it Hershend is finalizing a deal. That'd be great if Hershend got their hands on that.
It's such a weird thought, though, because like I go back to the idea of like Hard Rock Park. Like nobody goes to Myrtle Beach to go to an amusement park, and it's like, is that part of the reason that? I mean, I know that park was horribly mismanaged, and it had like I went there and I remember walking for like 8 years to get to anything, and it was a very strange experience. But it just makes me wonder. It's like, are people just not going to go to an amusement park that's at Niagara Falls? Like, you know what I mean? And I don't think Hershend wants anything to do with animals either, because I don't think that's their thing, right? At all.
Does the park in Georgia, Wild Adventures, do they have animals?
I don't know. I mean, we know Dollywood has the birds and stuff, but like they don't have anything major other than that.
Right. Yeah, I think you bring up.
I mean, I feel like that's one of the only ways you're going to save that park is if somebody like Hershend buys it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It was a shame seeing, when I went to Niagara Falls last year, seeing the drop tower just sitting there because, I mean, my dad tells me all the time about how cool that place is. There's so much land for them to work with.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to.
The pathways were like as wide as football fields. Like it was the most bizarre thing ever.
I do think you're right though about the Hard Rock Park comparison, because you have a major tourist destination like that where the main draw is one particular thing.
You can
Or
go
new
to the
people.
tourist destination and not even spend any money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's so just like with the beaches in Myrtle.
It's true. The thing is too, though, you look at parks on the Jersey Shore, but they have become such a staple of that experience where how can
Marineland's
you
not a
make
boardwalk.
an
That's the thing.
amusement park a staple of a tourist attraction location? That's the tricky thing. And Hard Rock couldn't do it, and I hope Marineland can.
I agree.
So we'll see what happens. And speaking of Hershend, hopefully Hershend is interested in Great Adventure. I don't know if Great Adventure would become what it can be under Hershend, because they would just make it Dollywood of the Northeast, and I don't think that's what Great Adventure really should be. Great Adventure should be more of a Cedar Point style park. And quite honestly, I don't know that any chain, the way they're structured right now, can make that happen.
One chain.
Who?
They just aren't in the U.S. Merlin. That's my like wild prediction is that
They are in the
Merlin
US,
comes
though.
in.
They have Legoland.
Yeah,
Legoland.
you're right. I always discount Legoland because I hate them. I think
Merlin owns Thorpe, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's like my wild prediction is if we're gonna come out of this positively, is someone like Merlin comes in and grabs the properties that aren't Cedar Fair / Six Flags favorites. And I think Great Adventure would be the perfect acquisition for them because they're Atlantic in terms of, the concentration of their parks being in the UK off the Atlantic. Their leadership could get in and out of New Jersey pretty quickly through EWR. And I think the potential of Great Adventure fits with the likes of Alton Tower and Thorpe. And so that could be an interesting prediction.
I do like that idea, actually. That's a pretty solid thought there. Also, I'm going to put this out there now at 10:10. The line is going in the chat for no more questions. So you guys got, by the time you hear this, 3 to 4, I guess it'll be 3 minutes. So get your stuff in now, and then that'll be it. Because currently I'm at 9:45 in the chat, so that should give us a good amount of time to get to you guys. But back to this, I think the only park that can really become what I would want Great Adventure to be is what Hershey is doing with their park. And Hershey is obviously not a part of a chain. They're a whole separate thing. They're not technically independent, but I guess you can kind of classify them as that. And I think that's the only way Great Adventure could really become what it should be, is if they were an independent park. But the issue is they don't have the backing of what, Hershey's a town. It's a whole experience there. It's not just the park, but the park, for us at least, is the main draw. It's not the main draw for everyone, though. Great Adventure is in the middle of nowhere, New Jersey, just happens to be off Interstate 195, and that's it. It's Great Adventure and Safari. You're not going to be able to sustain an entire company off of just that. And I think that if Great Adventure were to go independent, they wouldn't be able to build what we would want them to build. So that's kind of like where the catch-22 comes in. We're like, yeah, they would be able to maybe have much more freedom in their additions and everything, but they won't have the money to do it. Whereas with a chain, they do have the money to do it. So it's a tricky situation. I hope that these chains, as we get further into the decade, start changing up their investment strategy, because I do think we need another Cedar Point-like park. But even Cedar Point, I don't know that it's doing as good as maybe the company wants it to. That's just a guess. But if I had to guess, it probably isn't doing as well as they necessarily need it to. So there's a lot of factors to consider, but I don't know how Hershend would do a Great Adventure, truly. I think because like looking at Kentucky Kingdom, they're turning it into more of a family park, which I think there's more than enough of those already, honestly. Anyways, though, why hasn't Batman at Great Adventure acquired any cars or rows with quote-unquote big boy seats, restraints for taller or larger guests? Yeah, I know that is a pretty big issue at ours.
They don't do it anymore, though, right?
They do.
I thought they stopped doing it.
there are other B&M inverts I know of that have the larger.
No, I mean, no,
Great
they don't.
Bear
And
has
there's
a
any
ton.
new rides, they don't do it though. That's what I'm saying, right? I thought they stopped doing that.
They probably did because they figure the restraints are more than enough in terms of accommodations.
Because like New Hulk doesn't have it.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it didn't.
Huh.
The old one definitely did because I remember making fun of my friend for sitting in the fat seat, but I'm pretty sure the
Great
new one did
friend.
not.
Wow, Bob. Yeah, I know, because I know a few people who were mentioning this to me that like they can ride B&M inverts at other parks, but they can't ride Great Adventures because there aren't the seats for larger guests on that one. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised Great Adventures doesn't have it. Let me switch to another question. There goes Munchie. Let's see. Here we go. I'll let you guys ponder this.
Do you think Great Adventure will allow Cedar Fair, or will follow Cedar Fair, where the upcharge for maidens are included with admission to Fright Fest? It's a good one.
You have to pay extra there for
I
the
think
mazes?
Cedar Fair is going to move over to the Great Adventure and start charging for the mazes.
Yeah, at the Six Flags
I
parks,
think
you
they see
have
that the big moneymaker.
Wow, I didn't know that.
it sucks. I hope they all go the Cedar Fair route because Hershey has done it too now. Horror Nights, I mean, sure, you have to buy the ticket to get into it, but the mazes are all free once you're in there, as far as I know. I just think that's the better way to do it instead of nickeling, diming people, and they get there and they're like, wait, that's not included with the however much I just spent to get in here. I think it just creates a really bad reaction. And then you can just upsell people on the express because we know they love to do that anyway. Let's see. Do you think Six Flags will rename Batman clones?
No. The Goliath was not. It's a Batman clone, but like it wasn't themed to Batman in any way, shape, or form, obviously. So like they would have to retheme all these stations. They just put a ton of money into repainting a bunch of these. There's no way. Plus, they're gonna milk that IP to death.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because in terms of the Six Flags parks, other than Vampire, at La Ronde, that was the only Batman clone not themed to Batman. So that's kind of why they can do whatever they want with that one. Let's see. I still never got a rollback on Ka. I know quite a few people who never got a rollback on Ka, and I will never stop feeling bad for them because what an experience that was. I mean, you can ask, well, Zach's not on here right now, but he was the one I rode Ka with for my rollbacks, and that was probably the most bittersweet thing ever because I knew that was the only time and the only 2 times I would ever get to experience it, knowing what was going to happen to Ka and knowing that I had been waiting to experience that for so long and then finally getting it. There's no better feeling of satisfaction than that.
My favorite conspiracy theory was that Six Flags management arranged for you to get the double rollback.
You know, it's funny.
Man, your YouTube comments, man, like
greatest.
I know. So back in 2022, when Gabe, for those of you who don't know, Gabe, he does social media and PR for Sesame Place, but he used to be at Great Adventure. And we were doing POVs in 2022. And I vividly remember asking, can we arrange for a rollback ride on Ka? And he said, there's no way, but hey, you never know.
Not now.
And it was funny because on the first ride we filmed on, we came close to a rollback.
I remember that.
It's like, maybe they're listening. I don't know.
I remember on one of the Travel Channel shoots at the end of the day, they backloaded Ka with some of the film crew, just people in the last train trying to get a rollback for them. And
that's awesome.
It didn't happen.
It's hard to force it. That I will say. You got to just need the right weather conditions. We got lucky because the launch was having issues. That's why it wound up rolling back. But yeah.
When all of a sudden it starts creeping backwards and you realize what's happening, it's like, oh my God, rollback.
And the best thing about that day too was I wasn't going to go. I think it was either after work or after school. And he was like, dude, it's rolling back a lot lately. It might happen. I was like, you know what? Maybe today will be the day. And that was the only reason I went. And we were the first ones there. There was basically no one there. We actually befriended a couple people from far away. One guy was from Utah. I believe his name was Drew. So Drew, if you're watching, which you're probably not, you're awesome. He had never been to Great Adventure, never been on Ka, and the only ever rides he got on Ka were 2 rollbacks. That was the only ever rides he ever got on it, which is crazy. But yeah, that was so good. So good. Anyways, are you going to go back to Wonderland when Alpenfury opens? 100%. That is such a good park, and it's only going to get that much better with Alpenfury getting there, and the fact that they got rid of the worst coaster in the park. That makes it better.
There's still one bad one right next to it.
See, that one's not even that bad, though.
Oh, it's horrible.
I had no issue with it. It was fine. It was right. Just you run the mill SLC.
It was only like the 4th worst SLC I've been on.
My grandfather recently died. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. One of the stories from his life was that his friend dared him to jump into Spring Creek from a bridge at Hershey Park. And I take it he did, which brave soul right there.
Yeah, back then, though, you probably didn't even get arrested.
No one ever knew. What's the best night ride on a coaster? Stardust Racers. But, or that Outlaw Run.
The Outlaw Run ride with the fireworks was like the coolest thing I've ever done.
Outlaw Run, Beast, El Toro, honestly.
El Toro night rides with the fireworks were pretty cool that one time.
Dude, El Toro night rides that one night of Coaster Power Hours when it was so foggy, and every time Medusa ran and the fire went off and the whole sky was lit up orange.
Our first Velocicoaster rides with Scott were in the rain and pretty dark too.
Yeah, those are good night rides on Velocico. And Hagrid is a phenomenal night ride because it actually fits the theme when it's at night like that.
Yeah.
And Nitro's a great great night ride, rather. Anything at Kings Island.
I'll have to say the Voyage with the Firefly zooming by your head at night.
The Voyage. My disdain for
I
that.
know you don't like it, but
see, I wouldn't say I don't.
No
I think it's so overrated.
Yep.
So overrated.
Firefly, you change your mind.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'll say the most disorienting night ride was Smiler.
Oh, that's a flex right there.
No, it was like sickening. It's one of the few coasters that actually made me sick. Was a Smiler night ride.
Really?
Yeah.
There's no way Tom just did that. Oh my god.
What?
I need to show everyone on the stream what you just sent me.
Oh, yes.
So if you guys remember,
I've been quiet. I've been quiet because I was working on this thing. I was so intent
about a new shirt design, right? So let me see if I can show you guys this.
In a nice copyright-free way. We did the impossible. We make jokes reality at Hollywood Studios.
Long live the
Sounds like a shirt.
Sounds like a shirt.
Good. And a nice copyright-free bat that's like all deformed.
It's literally like the sign, but like it's like the silhouette of the sign.
Can you put on the back of the shirt?
MS Paint.
What? That is a color. That is a Photoshop color overlay. It's a proof of concept. We'll refine that later. It's a proof of concept.
Oh my god, that's too good. Thank you for the.
Put on the back of the shirt, comfortably crowded.
Comfortably crowded. 2001 to 2025 or whenever the hell it opened.
Let's see. Do you think Gene Staples could buy America?
They're selling the land, not the park.
The thing is that the town does not want to rezone it, so
it's going to stay a park. So
it'll have to stay a park unless they get approval to rezone it.
What they're going to try to sell it for, though, he wouldn't spend that much money.
Probably not. What's your guys' favorite log flume? It's a tie between Dudley Dew and Splash Mountain, not Tiana's Splash Mountain.
I love Splash Mountain.
I'm going to go Dudley Do Right.
Dudley Do Right's really good.
But Zoom Flume gets an honorable mention at Maury's. That ride is so good. And Timber Mountain Log Ride at Knott's.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, yeah. That was
Timber
really
Mountain
good.
Log Ride.
Yeah,
that was
that
awesome.
One's great. But yeah, I'd say those four are the upper the ones I think of. And while we're on the subject, best rapids. There's two that immediately come to mind.
I did not ride Blutos when I was at Universal, so I still
Oh,
Oh,
didn't
that
try
was
it.
yeah,
Blutos.
that was where we rode with the family from Israel, and your dad opened the conversation with something to the effect of like, "Oh, it's really bad over there right now, huh?" or something, and he meant COVID, but he made it sound like he meant like war was going on.
Yeah. I will say that rapids, that's top 3 at Islands.
You really like the Dorney one, right?
Dorney's is
Yes.
top tier, and Infinity Falls at SeaWorld. Those
I was
are the
going to
three.
say that Infinity Falls video is
Oh, it's-
precious. It's
if
fun.
you guys have not watched the Infinity Falls POV on this channel, do yourself a favor after the stream and watch it, because it is one of the most, actually, and Thunder Canyon POV, both are wildly entertaining POVs. So I would recommend checking those out if you need some entertainment for this Sunday evening. But yeah, those are the best ones for me. And Cali River Rapids at Animal Kingdom. I don't remember it that well, but I got a night ride on it when I was it 9 years ago?
There's like no waterfalls. You barely get wet, if at all.
It's got a big drop, I remember, with really cool lighting, and that made me like it.
Fair. Although the rapids ride at Knott's is really good.
Oh,
That's right. Yeah.
It is good. That is good. It's got animatronics.
Yeah.
Here we go. What is the absolute best park all of you have been to? I can't answer this because it's just...
I mean, yeah, you just went to it, but for me, it's going to be I love Islands of Adventure and Silver Dollar City.
I'll give it top 3 of IOA, Knott's, and I'll throw I don't know if I want to throw BGW or Kings Island, or wait, no. What did I say?
You had a really good day at Gilroy Gardens, Tom.
We had a great day at Gilroy Gardens.
You met your future wife, I thought.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, man. What about you, Ken? What are your favorite parks?
Hershey, Canada's Wonderland, and let's see.
Paramount's Kings Island.
Busch Gardens, both of them.
Okay. Darius?
In the U.S., Hershey. Abroad, I would say it's a tie between Energylandia and Alton Towers.
No Europa?
Energylandia guy.
Okay. I would probably... This is so difficult. I will say Roller Coaster Rodeo last year might have been my favorite time spent at a park ever. Those 2.5 days at Fiesta,
That was awesome.
top tier. And I don't want to go back to another rodeo just because I don't want to ruin that just impeccable vision I had of the event that I went to. Cedar Point, for as much crap as I give it, the collection there is unbelievable. But I do think Kings Island and Wonderland might be better parks overall. Hershey, easily one of the best in America. What else? I can't really rank the Universal parks as my favorites because to me, like, I can't go to Islands and not do Studios as well. I mean, I guess Epic, but Epic, it's not really a complete park yet, so I can't really say it's one of my favorites or like the best.
I think at this, all right, just experience alone, you put Great America on this list. Like, I mean,
Oh, yeah, I had a really
you were
great
raving
experience.
about it when we were there.
Oh yeah, that was a really good park. I'd say those are probably my favorites. There's probably one really well, Silver Dollar City, duh. I mean, that was like probably the closest to number one.
You don't love Tragic Mountain?
Oh, good old
I think
Tragic Mountain.
we had a really bad experience there with rides closed and terrible ops and things like that. I think if it's like running like the park was maybe 5 years ago, but like before COVID, I think Colin would have had a much better time. Because when I went for CoasterCon, it was incredible.
I mean, even given the experience we had, I know it's still a top 3 Six Flags park.
Yeah.
Like, I can't deny that. I want to go back and get a better experience.
There's going to be an event.
The Preservation Con?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How ironic they have X2 as the picture for it, which I could see them axing.
Wink, wink.
All right, 2 more questions. Actually, there's 3 technically. What would you add to Frontier Adventures at Great Adventure? I would add a monster Intamin Blitz, whether it be an Intamin, a Vekoma, a Mach, just a giant Blitz style coaster in the arena plot. That's what needs to go there. And I think they were saving that plot for something along those lines. And now it's just going to sit there forever. No, I'm kidding. Let's hope. Rows 1, 4, 5, and 8 on the new Hulk or Big Boy rows.
Do they not have the double seatbelts? Because that's what I was looking for.
I think that's what it is. I don't think they
if
have
they don't have the double
seatbelts.
seatbelts, that's what I was looking for. If they just made them wider.
When I rode Hulk in November, the seat I was in had a double seatbelt.
Okay.
Same here.
Actually, yeah.
And then I had some guy in front of me. He had his hands up and out, so my whole view of the ride was, whoa!
Well, I mean, I block my own face like that in every single picture. So
that is true. And the final question of the night from Cat1234. What's your take on Mexico's 2026 Vekoma family boomerang? It is a slap in the face to that park, and I feel so bad.
So that's what they're getting instead of Siren's Curse.
Yep.
Oof.
Here's your consolation family boomerang.
I think it's a clone of Snoopy's.
That's
Which I'm sure is fun.
Nice car. Watch.
Will it be Speedy Gonzalez, though?
That would be cool, actually.
I mean, is it racist, though, if it's
well
in Mexico?
No, I don't think so. That would be cool. I mean, I do think that them getting that instead of Siren, like
it's such an insult.
I do think it is. Speedy Gonzalez is like the worst stereotype ever.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean,
and then they tried to ban him, and then fans were like, "No, we love him," and it didn't work. He's uncancelable. So maybe
like the Family Guy parody of it was like Rapid Dave or something.
Rapid Dave.
Oh God!
Oh man,
that was like my Hershey comment in DM to Colin.
I'm just gonna check one more. Okay, nothing else in the chat to look through. I do want to look at the rankings for the night, and it looks like there's only one person who is definitively in number 1 because it is a 3-way tie.
What is this ranking based on?
It's based off chat participation.
And where do you see it?
Both live chat and super chats. It gets combined together, and I can only see it on
any
YouTube.
John Joseph Gray.
You're trying to make more money, are you? Huh?
That's YouTube's rules, not me. But congratulations, Millionaire 2K, for winning the community leaderboard for the night. So there you go, Millionaire 2K. Congratulations. And then our runners up, all tied, are I don't know why it's showing me the full username, but Jaden Christ Kingda Ka, I believe that's your name, KYTTLEA, and Commanders 2022. You guys are all tied with 150 XP. The Millionaire 2K wiped you all out with 225 XP, so congrats to you. And I want to thank you all for hanging out in the stream tonight. It was a very good stream, if I do say so myself. Lots of fun. And before we wrap up, I'm going to let you all plug yourselves one last time, starting with Bob and ending with Tom. So, Bob?
DK photo page on all socials, mostly Instagram, though.
And Darius just put up a thing on his wall there. You can read it.
I can't even read it.
Oh, wait, hold on, Darius. Last second super chat from P-Dog. Thank you, Preston. Hey, guys, at Great Adventure Day did 41 rides on Nitro. That is crazy. Props to you.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Congrats. And
especially now.
And it was 2 at a time.
Yeah, that must have been a painful walk around constantly.
Ooh.
Where were we? Darius?
Darius at Coaster Jones, and Colin, congratulations on 29K.
Thank you, Darius. Ken?
Uncle Ken, go out there and do what you love.
And Tom?
Tom's Tracks 99 on Instagram.
With all that being said, guys, that's going to do it for tonight's stream. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. We're getting close to 30K. Let's hope we can make it happen sooner than later. And I'll see you all in the next video. Good night, guys.